for our military men and women fighting today and the one that's fought before them. We just thank you for each and every moment that they've served for us, Lord. Lord, we do thank you for Mr. Penton, what he means to our sport, and each and every one of us. Just continue to bless him and his family. Lord, we just thank you for the landowner for letting us use this beautiful piece of property. Lord, a lot of people have many miles of travel to get home this afternoon when this is over with. We just ask you'll take everyone home safely so we can get back together again one day. And we thank you for your son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, if you would, please remain standing, stand at attention, remove those caps, and cross those hearts as we honor the greatest nation in the world with the playing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
And we welcome you once again to these hallowed grounds of the Russell Family Farm, located in southeastern Ohio's Athens County, for this, the 27th running of the Wiseco John Penton GNCC. It is round number 7 of America's Premier Off-Road Racing Championship, the 2016 and 42nd annual running of the AMSOIL GNCC Series, presented by Maxxis and AMA National Championship. And today, my friends, on the starting line with the nearly 1,500 riders throughout the course of this weekend, we celebrate another nearly 250 riders ready to tackle today's race course. Starting out first on row number 1 will be our XC1 Pro class, where 15 of the world's premier off-road motorcycle racing pilots are poised and ready to tackle these Ohio soils. Rolling to the line first today, he is on his own home turf, the Russell Family Farm, owned by his family, his grandfather and his uncles, and of course, hailing from just up the road in Kingston, Ohio, now calling Boonville, North Carolina home, a 3-time GNCC champion, an FMF KTM Factory Racing KTM, Caleb Russell. Rolling to the line today, second in points. He has 2 wins in the 2016 championship season. He's also a former Grand National Cross Country champion. Aboard the number 114 from Australia on a Rockstar Energy-backed Husqvarna, Josh Strang. Rolling to the line today, third in points. He rides aboard the number 4 from Crown Point, Indiana, on the JCR Racing Honda. From Crown Point, Indiana, Chris Bach. Rolling to the line today, fourth in points. He rides aboard the number 7 from Cookeville, Tennessee, on a Westfield Power Sports KTM, presented by Moose Racing. Jordy Ashburn. Rolling to the line next, ranked 5th in points from Australia, an infab in Ampro Yamaha, Daniel Milner. Rolling to the line next today, he is ranked 7th in points. He rides aboard the number 514, hailing from Penton, South Carolina, on a KTM SRT KTM, Stu Baylor. Up next, he's ranked 8th in points. From just across the river in Williamstown, West Virginia, on a Rocky Mountain KR4 Moose Racing backed Husqvarna, Bad Thad Duval. And welcoming back after a 2-race absence to the starting line, ranked 9th in points, aboard the number 314 from Belton, South Carolina, on an infab Ampro Yamaha, Grant Baylor. Rolling to the line next, he is 10th in from Duval, Washington, on an Obermeyer MCS Bank Suzuki, rough and rowdy Ricky Russell. Up next, a multi-time national enduro champion and one of the greatest off-road racers in the world today. He rides aboard the number 113 from Fayetteville, Georgia, on a factory FMF KTM, Russell Bobbitt. Up next, aboard the number 22 from the Queen City of Cincinnati, Ohio, on an Obermeyer MCS Suzuki, Chris Douglas. Rolling to the line next, he's also from Ohio, but up north from Wellington, on an MCS Racing Kawasaki, the number 55, Scott Grills. Rolling to the line next, he is a former 2-time XC2 Pro Lights champion from the UK, on a low jack cycle sales JTR off-road Yamaha, UKJT, Jason Thomas. Rolling to the line next, aboard the number 118. He made his debut in GNCC racing in the Sportsman A class just 2 weeks ago. Today, he makes his debut in the XC1 Pro class. Well known from southeastern Ohio, a top motocross and supercross racing star from Logan, Ohio, on a Bonsai Engines Ride Temps Sunstar backed Yamaha, the 118, Levi Kilbarger. And last and certainly not least, 2010 marked his rookie season where he took the win right here as a rookie, his one and only. And he's looking to make it his second win here today as he tries to get the ball rolling yet again. He rides aboard the 121 from Logan, Ohio on a KTM, SRT KTM, Corey Buttrick. And that, ladies and gentlemen, your starting lineup for this Weisco John Penton GNCC. And, of course, as we get set to roll into today's race, we got Hot Rod Charlie Mullins standing by with us. He's going to give us the commemorative 10-second call here in just a few moments as we'll start these fellow riders that he used to race with head-to-head and bar-to-bar for so many years. But today, he says farewell from a racing standpoint, but not goodbye to the GNCC Racing Nation for sure, as I know that Charlie has deep-seated roots, not only here in the great Buckeye State of Ohio, but in the GNCC Racing Nation as well. And we are proud to have Charlie here as a part of today's race. He'll be joining us in the RacerTV broadcast booth as well, as GNCC Live is streaming to homes across the globe right now as we speak. We are 1 minute away from getting today's racing action underway. And of course, as we walk out on the starting line, we can see that Ricky Towery has already began the start sequence here today, which he has informed the riders that we are now less than a minute. The next call that we will see will be the blue flag, which will be the dead engines call. And then soon after that, Charlie Mullins will be yelling out the 10 seconds. As we shut them down, guys, shut them down, shut them down, shut them down. We are now less than 30 seconds away from going GNCC racing. And I got to ask you, Ohio race fans, are you ready to go GNCC racing? Oh, come on. Now, man, the ATV crowd, they were good yesterday. They were really good, as a matter of fact. And we know that motorcycling has a strong, deep root right here in southeastern Ohio, and so are the fans. And I got to ask you one more time. Ohio, are you ready to go Wisecoat John Penton GNCC racing?
10 seconds.
And the XC1 Pro will be off and rolling here at the Wisecoat John Penton GNCC. And they round the first turn, $250 up for grabs. And it's going to be Caleb Russell in his own home soils taking the early lead here today. And that could spell disaster for the rest of the crew as far as the XC1 Pro class is concerned. Up next, the XC2 Pro Lights class. As we say, happy birthday to Big Sam Evans this weekend. Also, welcoming out Trevor Bollinger, Craig DeLong, Jesse Grom, along with Zach Hayes, Luke Parsons, Nathan Thornhill, Austin Lee, Josh Choate, Mike Witkowski, Vance Francis, Nicholas Marty, Mark Horesco, Lane Michael, Tegan Temple, Nick Davis, Michael McGinnis, Benjamin Kelly, Kyle McDonald, Mason Atherton, and Trevor Barrett, ready to roll in 10 seconds. Oh, and the green flag waves, and they roll into that first turn with a fistful of fury. And it's the number 11 of Craig DeLong picking up, oh no, 523, Lane Michael grabbing the whole shot and picking up the extra $100. He's also in position to take it to turn 3, but he drops back to second now. We'll see how that one sorts out. That's going to be a barn burner, folks. 4-stroke A lights coming up next. Braxton McGee, Hunter Shelton, Drew Bolton, Tyler Brand of Colin Keegan, Connor Keegan, Christopher McManus, Brock French, Russell Smith, Spencer Berkey, Trey Jefferson, Devin Welch, Dustin Simpson, Jaden Walraven, Larry Sylvia, Kobe Beckett, also Caleb Williams, Cody Harding, Tristan Landrum, Gary Inman, and Neil Inman, ready to roll in 10 seconds. And they're off. Connor Keegan off that row like a bullet. He's out of Coal City, Pennsylvania on a Rocky Mountain ATV-MC machine, but he's got company in turn 2. Oh, and all kinds of it, but Keegan's going to do it, it looks like. As we move to our next row, which is our Open A bike, Dylan Rash, Vincent Smith, Brady Myers, Dual Murphy, Jared Schmidt, Timothy Baroni, Levi Keller, Zach Tussle, Tony Sasser, Chad Bedard, Michael Pillar, Sam Forrester, Tyler Soriano, Andrew Ross, Josh Lewis, Zach Dodson, Dustin Ulrich, Zach Klemputh, and Connor Smith ready to roll in the Open A class in a matter of 10 seconds. And the kick starts are down yet again. 747. Connor Smith like a jet plane off that line. He's out of Denver, North Carolina on a Palmer Motorsports AXA Mike and Annette Lionback machine. And wow. 200 A class coming up next. Jace Kopp, or Knopp rather, Jesse Ansley, Michael Maresca, Zachary Hugel, Chase Hayes, and also our good friend Braden Moore ready to roll in this 200A class as the blue flags are out. Ricky readies these riders to go racing, and he lets them know 10 seconds. And they're off in the 200A class. Mercy sakes alive, the battle into the first turn. The 71 machine, and see if we can pick up on who that is. Not real sure, couldn't get the number off his helmet, but the 250A class coming up next. And we got riders like Chris Vendetti, Andrew Balk, Sean Benhart, Brewer, Carly Evan, Earl, Cameron Sisk, Gregory Coffey, Logan Lowry, also Ryan Slopko, Tyler Murphy, Nathan Milwaukee, Alex Teagard, Owen Guys. 10 seconds. Cole Harbstreet, Justin Lafferty, Connor Karkowski, Joey McNeil, Jamie Wilson, Garrett Coe, Coleman Brinson, Josh Farrell, Zachary Muron, Eric Sauter, Zach Nolan, Chris Goodman, Charles Morrison, and Rodney Kale. 27 riders rounding the first turn, and it is at 173, quite possibly Logan Lowry from Trenton, Missouri, taking the early lead in this one. Out of turn 2, Junior AB 25-plus class, Adam Clark, Ian Smith, Mason Stevens, Clint Masters, Frank Gallo, Edward Barth, Kevin Simmons, also Joseph McCarty, Brandon Peterson, Lucas Towery, Lane Hosler, Aaron Studer, Eric Breitmeyer, and Jeremy Dexter. 10 seconds. And the kickstarts are down on this one, and we roll through turn number 1 as we try to get them sorted out. That is Honda-mounted rider, I believe. That might be Mason Stevens, actually, or Joseph McCarty. It might have been McCarty out of Mount Clair, West Virginia. McCarty brought to us by MCI Racing, RG Honda, and Outlaw, as well as FCR. Senior A40-plus class with Shotgun Sean Remington, Frank Tussle, Patrick Tobin, Jason Bassett, Mark McGrath, Billy Schlag, Rob Brown, Derek Pacheco, Bob Bergman, and Jeff Husted. 10 seconds. And Moto Fro, the 495. I bet you can't figure out which one he is. Shotgun Sean Remington, good start off the line. Looked like he might have that lead, but I believe it's going to go to the Husky rider, the 585 right there. And I believe that was Jason Bassett, actually 406 out of Pickerington, Ohio, on an IMS Products Factory Effects back machine. As we go from the 40-plus class now to the Vet A 30-plus class. Ricky Towery readies our riders. 10 seconds for Joe Mars, Jesse Arsenault, Fabian Barada, Big Jim Steiner, Eddie Lojack Jr., Chad Tolman, Louis O'Lyon, Ryan Inman, Joe Dean, Chris Levin, AJ Snively, and Nick Capasso. Louis Oleon out of Lancaster, Ohio, getting a great jump off the line, nearly going down that first turn, but he regains composure, and he's going to grab this early lead. 4-stroke B lights class, Colton Cup, Justin Murphy, Sean Cochran, Hunter Williams, Bolton Birad, Troy Lieberman, Britton Laird, Brendan Poling, Jason Lipscomb, Carter Johnson, Tyler Bosley, and Colton Hale ready to roll in 10 seconds. And they're off on the next row. See if we can sort these riders out as they round that first turn now. $250B class is Harshberger. That is actually James Harshberger, Ed White III, Timothy Steiner, Matthew Davis, Kyle Prismont, William Buskirk. We got Neil Hood, Jacob Gibbons, and Devin Capasso, Michael Adam. 10 seconds. Samuel Stamper, Gage Collins, Jonathan Harker, Noah Stevens, Coley Aliff, Michael Atherton, Michael O'Brien, Nick O'Brien, Billy Seglia. $247, Matthew Davis from Bertrandville, Pennsylvania, on a ride-free Martin Moto. Joseph W. Davis back machine gets a good jump, but it's the 654 of Noah Stevens out of Valdez, North Carolina, akin to Vertex Piston Motivation back machine that is going to grab the early lead. And we'll move down to the 200B banks. Jordan Overfield, Teague Securo, Nathan Pickerton, Johnny Monera, Denver Martin, Mike Delisle, Adam Parker, Sam Hall, Nathan Davis, Chase Colville, and Hank Hayes. 10 seconds. Hank Hayes and the boys off and rolling now. 463, Nathan Davis out of Vail, North Carolina. Good jump off the line there. Moose Racing, FMF, Kenda, and Dixie Fuel Bank. Let's see if he can hang on to it. Whoa. 3:58. I think that might have been Denver Martin out of Inwood, West Virginia, grabbing that lead, though. But we'll go down to our Vet B 30-plus class with Bill Zavendi, Larry Hopper, Scott Dowland, Sean Morris, Kevin Young, Stephen Young, Jared Hoffman, Josh Nickel, Joshua Doman, Mike Barber, Brandon Clayton, Carson Meisenheimer, also James Mayhew. 10 seconds. Andrew McQuaid, Mike Cosma, Nathan Kaufman, Wesley Lance, Gregory Richardson, and Benjamin Kelly. And we're off. .127. Sean Morris from Waynesburg, PA on a Waynesburg KTM backed by Fly Racing. Open B coming up next. We got Josh Atkins, Nick Flowers, Rodney Jones, Devin Newkirk, Grant Lehman, Nick Bush, Brian Flowers, Joseph Nemeth, Dominic Jarvis, Celso Matt Bruffy, Michael McLean, Craig Oberholzer. 10 seconds. Braden Sylvester, Ryan McManus, Teddy Roney, Brody Gilliland, Brian Schell, Brandon Mullins, Craig Daff, Zach Perry, Cole Shiflett, and Jared Shiley. All righty, round in the first turn. We'll see who's going to grab this early lead. That is I couldn't quite make that out. I don't know if that's 237 Devin Newkirk or not. But we go to the senior B class. Devin Ferguson, Leon Whitaker, Mike Kochman, Jeffrey Flynn, James Curtis, Christian Broombob, Mark Proper. We got also Eric Robinson, Chris Lynn, Darren Darmos, and David Galliano. 10 seconds. All righty, and Mark Proper and the folks are off and riding. I got the proper way to pronounce his name just the other day, and Proper grabbing the early lead. Oh, out of the first turn. Let's see if he can hang on to it. He's trying to regain it. He's got the inside of the next turn, and he holds the inside. And Proper, whoa, going to get the lead maybe, but we got that beta out there. I believe that might be Christian Broombaugh that he's battling with for that #1 spot, but that's going to be it, my friends. Nearly 250 riders now tackling the woods here in southeastern Ohio for this Wiseco John Penton GNCC, and we'll return here on RacerTV.com with GNCC Live right after this.
John, hold on. We're going to give you a ride.
When it comes to protecting your engine, AMSOIL offers the next-level performance truck owners demand. AMSOIL provides 75% more engine protection against horsepower loss and wear than required by a leading industry standard, extending the life of pistons and cams. Give the vehicle you love the above-and-beyond fortification it deserves. AMSOIL, devoted to protection.
Maxxis Tires.
Here at Rocky Mountain ATV MC, our goal has always been to get you the best price and provide quality service. Now, we're giving you one more reason to shop with Rocky Mountain. We call it Quick Cash. It's simple to get. Just place an order with a qualifying Quick Cash item and get cash to spend on your next order. Try it out today. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
The Andersons discovered life is easier with an Outlaw RV. The Outlaw is a complete home on wheels with a multifunctional garage. Getting on the road has never been quicker. The Outlaw is made to fit the lifestyle of today's active families. So stop roughing it and start enjoying your weekends. Find the Thor Motor Coach Outlaw that fits your needs at GarageRVs.com today.
I'm a sore loser.
I'm a sore loser. Losing is not an option for me.
Be the best.
The best? The best. You have to have the best equipment under the hood. That's why I only use
Cometic products in my engines.
Cometic gasket. Cometic gasket. Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket, a superior quality gasket
for those of us who demand the highest level of performance.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to RacerTV.com's coverage of the 2016 John Penton GNCC presented by Wiseco. I'm Megawatt Matt Watson, joined here with Justin Fallon from WXCR Racing, and we've got Rodney Tomlin, our host, going to be joining us here in just a few minutes. We're going to start off with a couple replays. Already tons of action, Justin, here in the GNCC at Millfield, Ohio. We started out with a hole shot by Caleb Russell, and if I'm not mistaken, about the 2 mile mark, somewhere around there. Looks like we're going back to our replay right now, possibly. This is the 4 mile marker right now with, Jordan Ashburn. And if we take a look at Caleb Russell coming through there, you can see already dirty on that left side. So something obviously happened, a little slide, a little tip over or something. But as we work our way just a little further forward, Caleb already back up and in, I believe, the 3rd position right now. He's in 2nd place right now as we take a look at, what is this? This is the 4.5, and he is all over Jordan Ashburn right now. So Caleb Russell definitely wanting to use his typical strategy, Justin.
Absolutely.
Wanting to get out front, put as much distance as he can between himself and the pack, but didn't quite work out there this morning.
He got off to a clean start there, but it looks like we experienced a little bit of trouble out there, too, and let Ashburn and Strang get around him. And looks like he's making his way back up to the back of the pack now.
And, absolutely the kind of guy that fuels the fire. When Caleb gets behind like that, when Caleb has a little bit of adversity, which he had at mile marker 2, obviously fell over, that kind of thing, the bottom line is that guy wants to get back where he was, out front, and he wants to do it as quick as possible.
Absolutely. When he decides it's time to start charging, he's absolutely wanting to get right back where he thinks he belongs and needs to be.
We watched this creek bank here yesterday, and there's about 3 or 4 different lines, Justin, going right down through the gully itself. But as you can see, it's going to be smart just to go a little bit wide, ride that ridge. As you can see, one rider here struggling about 3 times now. It looks like a very basic creek crossing, and it normally is. But with the amount of riders and the pace they're riding today, something that small could really turn into a big headache for everybody around you.
Absolutely. After 450 riders in the morning class, line selection in the afternoons is an absolute must for every rider out there.
Yeah, you're going to have to be very smart today, and I can tell you, we already see riders encountering trouble just at about the 4.5, maybe 5 mile mark that is down there, I believe. These guys already using the alternate lines, already starting to play a little bit of follow the leader down there because they know what can develop. They know how that water can get splashed up on the bank. They know how wide and how deep that water can get. So we're going to see, as we see another rider picking himself up one more time up out of the creek. Just a beautiful shot by our cameraman down there. A great job. Not sure who that is, but doing a fantastic job of covering the action. Now, Justin, just as we said, right here it is. We see one of those AOMC Appalachian off-road motorcycles right there. This dirt is so slick from the past couple days, and what's happened is when we've had the quads race and then our amateurs and youth racers this morning, man, they've taken that surface off of it. Now we're back down to the slick again. Now we're going to throw in some rock and some shiny yellow root.
A little bit of rock, it makes your day interesting. Line choice is everything. These guys, as they navigate this course, and every lap it'll change. Every time they come through, it'll be different. So line selection and taking your time and being patient is a must.
Yeah, Justin, you're not going to guarantee that one line that's there this lap is going to be there next lap. No 2 ways about it. So when we watch this course develop, now here comes our man right now, Johnny GNCC Gallagher. Johnny had the opportunity to race yesterday, as he does every week in our Pro XC1 quad division, and he's going to tell us all about the conditions out there yesterday. He's going to let us know exactly how this track has changed and what the differences are today. Johnny, I tell you, rough day at the office for you yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. It wasn't one of my finer days. I always look forward to coming here to the John Penton GNCC, but had my first bike issue since, I believe, 2011 yesterday, so can't really complain about it, but definitely not what you want to have.
Well, I know one thing. I've been following you steady for 3.5, 4 years, and I've never seen your bike break. So I can tell you that, you know what, you've been around this thing a long time. That's racing. That's part of it. And I know nobody works harder on rebound than you do. But tell us a little difference in the track today than what you saw yesterday.
The conditions are fairly similar today. The difference, I think, is we did kind of need some moisture in the ground, but the way the ground is here, it gets this crust on top, and it's incredibly slick. And as you guys are seeing on screen, it's a challenge for these guys to navigate a lot of these sections. It's when they carry these water out of the creek, there are rocky uphills coming out of them, and for these guys with the narrow tires on the dirt bikes, it's really tough for them to hook up. We can see this rider really struggling. He's trying to launch his bike up the hill, but obviously our pros come through these sections with no issues. But the track as a whole is in pretty good condition. It's always slick here. That's just part of it. But as a whole, the track's in good shape. Obviously, we've got the moto track out there for good viewing. We've got some fast sections, but where our RacerTV cameras are right now here for GNCC Live, we can see these guys really struggling to get up some of these rocky hills. And I was out there this morning for the 10 a.m. race, and I actually spent quite a bit of time kind of digging some lines and helping some riders through and trying to keep the bottlenecks from getting any bigger than what they already were. It was definitely difficult, and the key is momentum. You got to keep your speed up out there.
Johnny, as you know, the key, these conditions already come into play. Caleb Russell with the early hole shot, leading till about mile marker 2.5, somewhere around there. Then comes out in third place. We see mud all over the left side of him. Obviously, maybe a simple tip over, that kind of thing. Back by mile 4, back into that second position and all over Jordan Ashburn. But I'm totally stunned right now after 3 days of the heat that we've had and the amount of riders that folks at home don't realize what they're looking at right here, do they, Johnny? They have no idea why these guys are dog paddling and how that's still this slick.
Yeah, well, this the clay here in Southern Ohio, and specifically here in Millfield, has its own texture, its own. It kind of carries on its own life, and I know the ATV guys seem to really like this place. The dirt bike guys as a whole, even the ones that do well here, will say, hey, this place is a challenge. It's difficult. Obviously, you can see these riders, as you pointed out, Megawatt, dog paddling up there. What it is that clay is very hard packed. With moisture accumulates on top of it. It rained here quite a bit over the past several weeks, and despite the fact that the fields are dusty, I'm sure we'll get some shots of that here in the near future. The woods themselves are incredibly dense here, so it holds the moisture, and then we have to mix in the shale rock that you see there. So you're not only looking at clay, you can see those shiny spots, and those are these Southern Ohio rocks popping their head up, and tires don't like to grab those things very well.
No doubt about that. When you look at this terrain right here, and you talk about that shell, the shell will let the water actually drain for the first couple inches. Then what happens, though, we have a layer of water on top of clay. So once you start digging through that, you get the results of what you see here. Justin, a lot of your Wexer riders representing here today. They did a great job in the 10 o'clock race. What kind of conditions are these compared to what we find at one of your normal rounds?
Well, most of our rounds are within an hour from here, so a lot of typical terrain is just about the same. So a lot of people enjoy coming to the Penton, and the WXCR riders enjoy coming to the Penton, and we enjoy coming back and forth throughout this area and racing. So a lot of the conditions that our riders are experiencing are pretty typical today with the rocks and with the mud.
Hey, Johnny, this is basically a home race for you, isn't it? I mean, you're an Ohio guy. You're not far from here, and you grew up riding all these tracks around here.
Yeah, absolutely. I was speaking with facility owner Howard Russell 2 weeks ago in Indiana, and this was one of my first GNCCs that I ever raced in 1989, I believe it was, as a youth racer, and have raced here for so many years. St. Clairsville's a little bit actually closer to my house, but certainly been racing this facility longer. So, and that was kind of the bummer about yesterday, is I was tallying things up in my head and on paper a couple weeks ago, just kind of trying to psych yourself up for the weekend. And I have more top fives and standout finishes here than anywhere else of all the places that we've raced for all the years. And I like the dirt here. It's you really have to use a lot of throttle control. You can't. It's not a racetrack where you can just pin it and and hope for the best. You have to have a lot of throttle control, and you have to be really wary of the grip of your tires. Even if you're going forward, that doesn't necessarily mean you can stop or turn. So a lot of times you'll see a lot of riders that are kind of maybe a little, a little looser, a little wilder. This is not the conditions for those kind of guys.
Yeah, Johnny, you mentioned St. Clairsville. At first, a lot of similarities between this place and St. Clairsville. When you look at some of the field sections, when you look at the woods entrances and that kind of thing, but the big differences are the elevation change over here, I believe, is way steeper than St. Clairsville. And when you look at the way this shell is located over here, I don't think you have as much rock and gravel over there by any means.
Well, it's the shale, and like you said, there's rocks there, but they're kind of bigger rocks. They're rounder, more sandstone. They don't have, as you said, like the shale and the kind of polished flat rocks that we have here at John Penton at Sunday Creek. The other thing that is really, it's hard to explain to somebody that's never been out and felt this stuff that you're looking at on the ground. This mud here, this topsoil clay, I guess it's clay, it's got some serious stiction to it, which is strange because you would think that if it's sticky, that would mean it has traction. But the reality of it is, it sticks to things like your bike and your gloves and your goggles and your gear and your truck and everything else, but your tire won't stick to it. Your tire just kind of spins and loads up, and so we'll see a lot of these guys. It's when you see a guy that is really on a day like today, I think it's going to reward the guys with, like I said, throttle control, good bike skills, good, and those guys will look like they're basically out there figure skating, orchestrated skating between them and their machine, and it's a thing of beauty to watch when it all goes well.
No question about it. When you watch a Chris Box, when you watch the Caleb Russells, when you watch the Josh Strings come through under power in these kind of conditions, and they just beautifully drift the bike through the corner. They don't oversteer anything. They don't dig in anywhere. It really is a thing of beauty. And you mentioned synchronized skating and that type of thing. It almost is the rider becoming one with the bike in these conditions. No question.
Megawatt, I really do have to comment here. I mean, this section for us yesterday really wasn't an issue. I mean, there wasn't. You didn't have any bottlenecks here. You didn't have any riders getting stuck. I mean, if you would catch a lapper, and they happen to take that left line, which is the worst line. As you look at this here, the right line over by the blue and the red arrow on the tree, why that's the better line is because it allows you to carry your speed. Now, they've got a rut built up there that you've got to get out of early, otherwise it forces you into that left line. But see, these guys on the right, they're able to keep their speed up. Some of them are struggling, but for the most part, they're making it, and they're keeping their speed up. That's the key in conditions like this is momentum. Momentum is key. You got to keep yourself going and moving. When you get to a stop, it's almost impossible to get going again. I mean, you can see that guy there is just absolutely roasting the rear tire off that thing and going nowhere. And that, I think, is the biggest difference. I was really surprised. I wouldn't say pleasantly surprised, but I was really surprised this morning at some of the places that there was bottlenecks. It wasn't mud holes. It wasn't big hill climbs. It was just little grades like this. This isn't steep that we're looking at by any means. I mean, you could, if this were dry, you could walk right up it, barefoot without even having any issues whatsoever. There, see one of the KTM guys going over and giving a hand. They want to get this section cleared up before the leaders come through here. But again, it's really just the fact that these guys just aren't quite carrying enough momentum, and they're trying to just give it too much gas and not enough, maybe upshift a little bit, use that clutch, and, you'll get up there a lot easier.
Yeah, definitely going to carry a gear high today. Be really delicate with that clutch. Johnny, what I find out, just like in this rut you mentioned, they were following each other in rut. What happens is I call the cattle drive or the blind mice. Guys just following that fender in front of them. Johnny?
We've got an update here, and apparently Chris Bach is pushing his bike at the front gate, working his way back towards the JCR rig. So not good news for the number 4 JCR Honda of Chris Bach. Hate to hear it. Hate to see any of these guys not be able to complete the race. We'll see. If he is pushing his bike, though, Megawatt, that means that if they can get it back, if they're able to get it repaired, then they might possibly be able to get him back into this race. And obviously, if he's pushing the machine, it's going to be very difficult for him to potentially score any top 20 points, but you just never know. It's a long race, so I know Eric Sherratt and Johnny Campbell and the guys over there in the JCR pits, I see they're actually right now working their way towards the front gate. They're going to give him a hand to push that machine. I see him walking in front of the coastal rig up there. So unfortunate, but we'll see that story as it develops. And Megawatt, when Rodney gets here, perhaps you can get an update on exactly what's going on. We see there he is now pushing up the hill. You can see him there just in front of the KTM pits. You see it looks like Eric Sherratt and giving him a run. They're trying to figure out exactly what's going on, and they'll try and get that thing fixed and see if perhaps they can get him back out there. Unfortunate turn of events here early, though.
Such a disappointment. We see it coming down pit road now. I talked to Johnny, I talked to Trevor, I talked to Chris. Such high expectations for the whole team this weekend. Johnny, these guys have come together as a unit. XC1 rider Chris Bach, XC2 rider Trevor Bollinger, and of course the boss, Johnny. Johnny rode today for the first time in 20 years. Johnny Campbell.
I don't mean to cut you off here, but he does not have a chain on that machine. So that appears to be the issue. Yep, chain has broken or somehow come undone. There is no chain on that number 4 JCR Honda, so most likely in perfect running order other than the fact that he has no running gear. So they're going to get a chain on that. Certainly means that they'll be able to get him out. If you watch this, I'm pretty sure that we'll see him out here in under a minute. We'll be impressed how fast these guys can do things when they're under pressure. You can see, looks like Eric Sherratt down there. He's getting that chain put on. We see Ben Weathers opening up the master link. They're getting that thing ready to go. They're going to get that pressed on, get that clip put on. Chris is probably getting himself a drink of water and some fresh goggles and getting ready to go back out there. He's got to be frustrated, but he's going to give it his all. He's going to go out there, try and possibly salvage some points, and if nothing else, keep himself in racing shape for our event coming up at the Tomahawk in 2 weeks, where last year he won his first ever GNCC.
We see the boss, Johnny Campbell's threading that chain through. Easy E himself, Eric, pulling that chain back through. They're finding that master link right now. These guys know the severity of the situation. They know exactly what time it is, and you know what? It's a long race, Johnny.
Caleb Russell in the VP Fuels Pro row gets one heck of a kick coming in there. Looked like he was possibly going to go over the bars. He's making some adjustments to himself there, maybe catching his breath a bit. Second place rider Jordan Ashburn on that Westfield Power Sports KTM. Looks like our third place rider is the number 114, the freight train, Josh Strang. So there's your top three through the VP Fuels Pro row, and they have a big old gap built up on fourth place already. Don't even hear another machine yet, Megawatt.
I missed that kicker, but I can tell you I've been talking about that swap Caleb had 2 weeks ago on pit row for weeks, and he told me it was the worst in life. I said, Caleb, did that thing go lock to lock? He said, yeah, about 4 times.
Yeah, it was nasty for sure. There was some chatter on it about Instagram. Looks like now we've got the fourth place rider, and that looks to be Ricky Russell, who's in that fourth place ride early. So a good run for Ricky. Look at this. Caleb Russell just skating around the moto track. Now the fifth place, there is the number 5 of Thad Duvall. As we watch on screen, Caleb Russell now on the moto track. Watching Caleb Russell ride this Sunday Creek motocross track really is like watching Ryan Dungey out there. He's got some incredible skills on this track, and he's getting on the brakes. He knows it's slick. They watered that. So it's going to take a couple laps before it tacks up a bit, before these guys can really show what they're capable of. Now we see looks like Stu Baylor is the next rider behind Thad Duvall, so that would be 6th place. Here we go. Caleb Russell up over that double, and he'll work his way around this right-hander and up to our finish line for the completion of lap number 1. And as he checks in, we'll get a lap time here. Lap time number 1, 30 minutes, 14 seconds. And just a few seconds behind him and charging hard is the number 7 of Jordan Ashburn. As he checks in there, we see that he is only 5.23 seconds behind. And right behind him, the number 114 of Josh Strang in that third place ride. So these guys are pushing the pace here early, and look way back here, not taking anything away from these guys, but that fourth place rider, Ricky Russell, is nearly the entire side, half of the motocross track behind your top 3.
That incredible gap they've set right there. And what that is that's guys the caliber of Russell, Ashburn, and Strang hooking up, the momentum pulling each other forward. And I can tell you, each one of these guys knows what time it is. They're going to use that momentum. They're going to get on the fender of the guy in front of them, and they're just going to make themselves a train up front.
Absolutely, and I'm sure this action is going to develop hot and heavy here. If we could get the pit crew of Michael Atherton to the finish line. Pit crew of Michael Atherton. If you know the pit crew or the whereabouts, if you could send them to the finish line area, please. And as we're watching the rest of our riders there, we see our XC2 points leader of Trevor Bollinger. Not sure if he's actually leading the class. We did look away from the screen. It looks like Craig DeLong is actually your early leader in the XC2 class. There we see Grant Baylor returning to action. We're looking at Corey Buttrick on the, Stu Baylor on the right-hand side of the screen, and then on our left small inset, that is Grant Baylor. Now we see, looks like Daniel Milner working his way through the finish line. So we've got our top 7, 8, 9 riders have worked their way through, and it looks like 7. We've got the top 7 are Caleb Russell, Jordan Ashburn, Josh Strang, Ricky Russell, Thad Duvall, Stu Baylor, and Daniel Milner. Chris Bach, it looks like, has made his way back out onto the racetrack here and working his way towards wherever it is. As we now see, he's working his way backwards down the VP Fuels Pro row. Looks like he's cutting across, trying to get to the gate area where he came in. He'll rejoin the fray and try and see what he can possibly salvage here today. Tough break for Chris Bach early, but sure he'll charge hard. We're joined now again by Rodney Tomlin, who's down there calling the action on the starts for us. Rodney, a lot of things happen here early. Track conditions really shaping up to be challenging, and some good racing action already.
Yeah, and like you found out yesterday, I mean, things are rather deceiving as far as this Southeastern Ohio race course here this weekend. Coming into it, it looks like everything's good and hard-packed and solid and everything, but Friday or Thursday night when I came in, and on Friday, man, a lot of folks were finding that the pits were actually pretty soft, and the woods are very soft. The low-lying areas are extremely soft out there, so a lot of surprises in that aspect. I mean, it's even deceiving taking a look at the moto track right now as you see the dust kicking up, but, man, this track is really offering up exactly what you're talking about, the opportunity for some big things to happen early on in the race, kind of like what we saw a couple of weeks ago at the Limestone. Obviously, the conditions aren't near that by any stretch of the imagination, but the surprises are there with the softer soils, which do offer up a little bit more of a challenge because, like you were talking a few moments ago, the mud is a little heavier, it's sticky, just like you were saying, and it's also very robbing of the horsepower whenever you're getting some of that soft stuff.
Absolutely. That was my first, I guess, thing I realized yesterday when we started track walk or track bicycle in the morning. I was shocked at how soft the ground was. See Nick Davis on screen there, one of our XC2 riders working his way through the completion of lap 1. It was really, really soft, even though it has been dry for the past several days. I definitely wouldn't say it was muddy, but it was soft. And one thing to point out, Rodney, I don't mean to change the subject here, but take a look at your top 10 overall.
Yeah.
The first XC2 rider you see, we missed Lane Michael there in the 6th place spot, and Mike Witkowski in leading is second in the XC2 class behind Michael. So we didn't see those two guys on camera. We caught Craig DeLong and Trevor Bollinger thinking they were 1 and 2, but no, it's Lane Michael and Mike Witkowski, the 282 machine, a rider we've seen make the podium at the end of last season, and now he's back here with a vengeance. Missed the first few races due to injury, but he's back out here today and starting strong.
I think that we see 2 new players coming into the field as far as this XC2 Pro Lights class is concerned. We are finally starting to see the graduation of Lane Michael's talent, I think, in it actually being transposed onto the race course, and the results are starting to reflect that a lot. And here's our leader, Caleb Russell, by the way, as we pick up out here at the 2-mile marker, this FMF PowerPoint. But, as we were saying, Lane's doing strong. Michael's back into this one, Witkowski, so he's going to be very formative opponent in that class. So some new players in that one's going to make it exciting. We see that Trevor Bollinger is actually back in the number 4 spot behind Craig DeLong, who is actually 3rd in that XC2 Pro Lights class. On the overall scale of things, they are running 9th and 10th. Out here at the 2-mile marker, Johnny, though, we're watching riders go by. Russell and Ashburn and Strang and the boys are making their way up the FMF PowerPoint at this point, and it looks like maybe a little bit of a gap starting to open up more so over Ashburn than what we saw there at the finish line of about 5.2 seconds.
Yeah, it's Ashburn looks, keeping it relatively close. I'd say Caleb's opened up a few seconds for sure, maybe 7, 8, 9 seconds. But the big surprise is Josh Strang seems like he's lost a little bit of ground to Ashburn now, where he had been only, he was 8.5 seconds behind. And, it's really surprising to see, Strang has been so strong early in these races and throughout these races all the way to the end, battling Caleb Russell right down to the finish at the Limestone. What an exciting one that was. And, winning, was it 3 straight to open the season?
2 straight.
2 straight, yep, absolutely. Won the first 2. And I think, Rodney, we got a chance to speak with Josh Strang just before the start of this one and got his insights on some things.
Exactly, yep.
Yeah, I don't know. Last weekend I just caught the flu or something like that. So just a little been under the weather all week. So I spent a couple of days in bed this week instead of riding and training. So not the best prep for a weekend like this. It's going to be hot. Yeah, there's been a couple of times where I've ridden with a cold, but there's not much you can do. I mean, I got to do what I can do, and I'll try and salvage how I can tomorrow, and just ride the best I can. It's going to be hot, so I think it's going to be difficult either way, whether I was sick or not. So we'll just fight to the finish, and it'll be good. Who knows? Maybe we might come out on top.
All right, we're back here on screen at the 2-mile marker. We see Daniel Milner working his way by, Rodney.
Yeah, and we need the pit crew of Michael Atherton once again to report to the finish line ASAP. If you know the whereabouts of Michael Atherton's crew, we need them at the finish line ASAP. And as you said, more riders are checking through. We've seen Russell, we've seen Duvall checking in on this one, and these guys are seeming to fall into place right now, it looks, as they make their way up this FMF PowerPoint.
Interesting point, Rodney, and as we watch Jason Thomas on screen here back with us this weekend, take a look down here and see what I'm seeing. I don't know if you can recognize those gals from the back, but that's Chandler Russell, that is Jordan Ashburn's girlfriend there, and then Josh Strang's fiance. So 1, 2, 3 as they run on the track are 1, 2, 3 as they walk through the pits. You got to wonder, they're out there, they're walking together, being all friendly. You got to wonder, under their breath if they're thinking, man, I sure hope my man gets to the front.
Well, I can tell you right now, probably the most satisfied one of those three is Mrs. Chandler Russell down there right now, if truth be told, because her man is out front and in control of the situation.
Yep, but I tell you what, we haven't really talked so much about Jordan Ashburn so far yet today.
But here's
my goodness.
Yeah, I mean, and that's one thing that, he's always had some glimpses of greatness here. Actually, he won his very first overall XC2 Pro Lights class when he took in that class. Happened right here at John Penton. He was telling me earlier this morning, and talking with him and so many of the people during the pre-race interviews, how folks it seems like conceded, it seems like in the past, to the fact that they're going to be battling for second and third, and they're just hoping for a top 5 or maybe get on the podium. What was unique and interesting to me today was the attitude of riders that were no longer talking about just making a podium, or no longer just talking about making a top 5, but taking a win from that guy right there, and it's going to be tough, especially in his own home stomping grounds right here.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we watched him pass that rock, that was at 42 seconds. So we're now at 6. Oh, Jordan Ashburn taking a different line. So looks like it was about 12 seconds, give or take. Now we see Josh Strang with another different line. So we see 3 different options there as we watch here at the 4-mile marker. We've got our RacerTV camera set up there to bring you all the action on #GNCC Live, and we've got these guys out there doing battle, and we know we've got folks at home watching and tuned in, and I think it's time that we do How Do You GNCC Live.
I agree.
So as you're at home, even if you're here at the track, Instagram a picture of how you watch GNCC Live for a chance to win an event T-shirt courtesy of Moto Tees. Make sure when you make that post, you #GNCC Live. Our producer will go through, pick those out. Might get a chance to get yourself on RacerTV here today.
Wonder if that dog can hear the PA.
And there we see our 4th place rider of Thad Duvall has made the pass on Ricky Russell, but Ricky Russell shadowing him there. And Thad Duvall's a rider we expect to see do well here. He's a West Virginia boy, but he lives just over the border from here, nice and close. You would have to consider this a home race for Thad Duvall.
Yeah, definitely. And if you heard the crowd on the starting line, I mean, you would definitely believe that. You would almost believe that out of Thad Duvall nearly anywhere he goes, but he always gets a big response. But today, man, it was super huge here from the Ohio crowd.
Hey, Bad Thad, the Williamstown Wonder, whatever you want to call him, he's got a lot of fans, and they make it out to the Penton GNCC, like we said, just across. I believe Route 50, right
32.
Straight across, 32
and 50.
You run across there, and that takes you right over to Thad's stomping grounds, and he's got friends and family to spare here this weekend, and sometimes that little bit of extra support from the hometown crowd can help you out, as we see Stu Baylor, a rider that we've really seen coming back into his own, I guess you would say, this year. He was a standout performer in our XC2 class for many, many years, and then came to the XC1 class, has been plagued by injuries, and we've seen a more healthy Stu Baylor this year than we've seen in years.
And here's the great thing about this story for Stu Baylor, because it's not like he's coming back in like a flash of brilliance. He's actually building himself back up, which I think will possibly pay huger dividends in the long run than if he came back and was still on top of his game, if truth be told.
Absolutely. It's when you see a flash, when you see that one standout race, it's obviously a sign that rider rode well for the day. The conditions were to their liking. They were just feeling it that day. But when you see, somebody slowly build their results, and, Stu's a guy that for a while there really couldn't even complete a 180-minute GNCC race, and then all of a sudden you started seeing him finishing, started seeing him scraping out some, top 20s, some top 15s, and some top 10s. Then all of a sudden, I believe it was last year, we saw a couple of top 5s or near top 5s out of Stu Baylor. Was 5th, 6th, 7th, and that was a kind of a resurgence of his talent and his abilities. And then obviously Georgia this year, to see Big Stu back on the podium, that was a great thing for all GNCC race fans. There we see Trevor Bollinger, the number 10 JCR Honda, who actually rode for Stu Baylor last year and made the switch back to Honda, and he's been, he's a great talent. He's been doing very well here as of late, winning 5 of our first 6 XC2 races.
Right. I keep hearing something in the background. I don't know if Megawatt's got something he wants to break in with here or not, but maybe that wasn't him. But anyway, you're right about that. And honestly, watching all this unfold today, I'm getting super excited about what these guys' mentality. Guys like I want to see what Stu's going to be able to achieve and see if he's able to keep on the even keel.
Rodney, look at this. That is Jesse Grom, I believe, is that, yes, the number 19, Jesse Grom.
Yeah.
He's taken a look at his machine. It looks like as though he might have something wedged in the rear of that machine, possibly in the chain and sprockets. Looks like he's trying to roll it backwards. And there we see, looks like Grant Baylor working his way by on screen. So Grom running well within, when we had last seen him, looked like he was running, he was 17th overall and up pretty close to the XC2 class, having some struggles out there.
Hey, Megawatt is standing by Johnny, and he's standing by with another Johnny Campbell from JCR Honda. What's going on, Megawatt?
Hey, Rodney, we're down here with JCR boss right now, Johnny Campbell. Johnny, we saw that you guys had to push the number 4 machine in. Obviously a broken chain. Any other damage? Do we have any case damage or any other catastrophic failures?
No, real strange. We lost a chain for some reason. We always have the best components on the bike and fresh stuff, so I don't know what to say about it, and unless we had the chain to inspect it. But yeah, fortunately we were able to repair the situation. Chris got back out there, and we'll just try to salvage as much points as we can.
Back on track and make the best day we can.
That's right.
Awesome. Back to you, Rodney.
All righty, thanks a lot, Megawatt. And tough break for Chris Bach, no doubt, but he's one of those guys that these are the types of things that he can rise above. And he's looking forward to 2 weeks from now, especially more so now than probably earlier this morning, because when we go to the Tomahawk, that's where he celebrated his win there last year, and I'm sure that he's hoping to feel good and strong there next week. And this could be some inspiration for him. This could get the fire lit in that tail and make him hungry enough to go out there and maybe pull off a repeat performance.
Yeah, absolutely. It's tough when you have stuff like that happen. I mean, I know myself to be out there yesterday and pushing and trying your hardest and have something with the machine, let you down. It kind of takes the wind out of your sails, but then you take a step back, you regroup, and you realize that we do rely on machines and what we do. Again, like Johnny said, the best components, the best mechanics. They do everything that they can, but this is a treacherous, torturous form of racing. It's something as simple as a rock getting in there, just like what we may have seen with Jesse Grom there, where Jesse was lucky enough to catch it, back his machine up. Looks like as our camera panned there, he is no longer there, so presumably he's back out doing battle. Obviously with Chris, he wasn't so fortunate. He either broke that chain or somehow it was dislodged from the machine. Again, as Megawatt pointed out, fortunate enough that he didn't have any damage to the machine. They were able to repair it, get him back out there. At some point, perhaps we'll be able to check in and see exactly where he runs on the racetrack. And who knows, with the long enough race, there's a potential he might be able to get up there and score some kind of points to salvage something from the day.
Well, one thing that we haven't talked a lot about today is the actual heat. Yesterday we talked a lot about it. We had a lot of sunshiny skies. Today we have, the overcast skies, but the humidity is still in the air, Johnny. And, I know I was kind of concerned about it heading into the weekend, and I know that you guys as riders were too. And we actually had a chance to talk to Thad Duvall about that coming into this weekend.
Yeah, with today, I think it's going to be in the 90s. So, I've been trying to get water going, and when it's this hot, it's tough. You got to stay hydrated the whole race, and it separates the men from the boys. I think at some of these races, and today is going to be tough. It's going to be one of those days where you definitely need to be up front because it's going to be dusty and hot, and you're definitely going to need to get a good start.
Something interesting. Thad Duvall talked today more so than I've ever heard him about winning. Regardless of the conditions, the heat, whatever, he talked about wanting to win. Before I mentioned it, these guys talked about basically getting top fives or landing on the podium. But Thad, for the first time, talked more determined and more serious about being in the center of the box than I've ever heard him. And, I think we're about to see its transition in that rider. You look at his results so far this year, they're not the most spectacular. He's either been on or he's been off. And the days that he's on well, and the days that he's not. And that's no doubt about that. We've seen him absent a race this year also. But the amazing thing is he seems to still be steadily increasing and actually being more and more competitive each week.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that, Rodney, we can't say enough. We always talk about the mercurial talent that he has. He is he's a born and bred GNCC rider. Coming from the lineage of his father, Chad Duvall, and to go out there and do what he does, he's just pure talent and hard work as well. But it'll be interesting to see exactly what he can do today here, Rodney.
About 47.5 minutes here at the Wiseco John Penton GNCC. Caleb Russell leading, Jordan Ashburn, Josh Strang in third, Ricky Russell in fourth, and Bad Thad rounds out your top 5. GNCC Live continues after this.
When it comes to guarding your engine, AMSOIL offers the next level performance enthusiasts demand. AMSOIL provides 75% more engine protection against horsepower loss and wear than required by a leading industry standard, extending the life of pistons and cams. Give the vehicle you love the above and beyond protection it deserves. AMSOIL, devoted to protection.
Maxxis Tires.
CST Tires.
You smell it, you feel it, you can taste it in the air. Speed, man. Full wide open. Blast. I didn't really like high school too much. Too booky, too take notes, learn this, and that's it. At WildTech, they had full-size motorcycles. The feeling of taking them apart every day, putting them back together. I can't explain it. Everything I learned applies to now. Seeing your motorcycle that you put together right around the track at 180 miles an hour, oh, definitely rewarding. My name is Mike. My school's WildTech.
Get on the fast track to a career. Turn pro at WildTech.
I've been with Liat for a lot of years, and I know the dedication they have for safety. When they told me they were coming out with a helmet, I signed right up.
Welcome back to GNCC Live. If you're watching at home on the World Wide Web at RacerTV.com through live stream, you might have just saw some highlights from the past USA ISDE Golf Fundraiser. And the USA ISDE Trophy teams are excited to present the 3rd annual golf tournament team fundraiser. It's going to be taking place at Snowshoe Mountain Resort's Raven Golf Club on Friday, June 24th, leading into the weekend of the Snowshoe GNCC. The unique golf tournament will assist in the team's efforts to represent USA at the 2016 running of the International 6 Days Enduro, or the ISDE, and that'll be taking place in Navarra, Spain. The golf tournament will begin at a shotgun start at 9 a.m. on Friday morning and will run approximately till about 3:30 in the afternoon. Participants will get to play 18 holes of golf on a championship caliber golf course, ranked the #2 public golf course in the state of West Virginia by Golf Weekly magazine. And many of the USA Trophy riders will actually be participating in this event, which provides a unique opportunity to spend time with some of the most talented off-road racers in the world and play a little golf at the same time. Each team is made up of 4 players and space is limited, so get your team registered early by completing the online registration form. Individual participants are also welcome and will be assigned to a team at random. The cost is $100 per person, which includes a meal at the end of the round of golf. All proceeds from the event will go directly to the USA ISDE team to help fund the transportation of our athletes to this prestigious event. If you have any questions about this event or would like to learn how to donate to the team, please contact events at KTM USA.
Absolutely, Rodney. You know, that's a great event. Participated in it several years. Last year, we nearly won it. Not actually. We were, I believe, 20 strokes off the lead, something like that.
Oh, you were close, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if we would have actually just put the little white ball in the hole where it wanted to go, we would have won, but we didn't, so we didn't. But no, it's a good time for sure. You know, it's a beautiful course, great scenery there, and Snowshoe, West Virginia, always an opportunity to, like you said, rub elbows with some of the big names and get out there and have a little fun, a little bit relaxing before a big weekend of racing. We're only 2 weeks away.
Well, lap times are 30 minutes in the average for the front runners there. Caleb Russell, 30 minutes, 14 seconds. 30:19 for Jordan Ashburn. Josh Strang, a 30:28. Then we see Ricky Russell at a 31:05, 31:13 for Thad Duvall. And basically, we should be expecting to see our leaders back in about 7.5 minutes or so, Johnny, as the riders continue to motor their way around the race course. We're in a rather long lull, I think, of the race course, where we're not seeing the riders, and you're thinking, why? Well, I'll tell you why. They're out in what we call the John Penton section, which is a specialty section that is designed to be a little more challenging, a little tighter trail, something with some obstacles that will be technical and challenging at the same time for the riders. So this John Penton section, I believe this year is about 2 miles long. I know that you guys have ridden some John Penton section, but this extra mile or so that they've got added in on this, I guess is pretty tight. It's got some really soft, soggy bottoms out there. So it could actually be a game changer in today's race in some instances.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, there's a lot of challenging sections of this Sunday Creek Raceway, John Penton GNCC course, and you know, the Penton is certainly high up on that list. I don't actually, I could be wrong, I don't think we actually went into the Penton section yesterday, but we definitely have in the past. You're 100%
yes.
right. I think this year they kept us on this side of the road. Don't know if it was because of the rain and the tough conditions, or you know, what the situation was. But we see, speaking of tough conditions, we see one of our riders in one of our B classes, it looks like, getting some help. We got the human chain.
Yes, we do.
Rodney, we've seen that so many times in GNCC racing. The mud fleas, they get out there, they do everything they can to help these guys get through this course, and you know, we see he's going to change direction. He's going to opt to head over to another line and give it a go. You can see that machine overheating.
All right, I want to talk to you a little bit about this, because yesterday at this particular section of the race course, the FMF PowerPoint, Fred and I were discussing the challenge that this particular point has to offer. You know, you look at Mercy. You look at it, you think it's not that big of a deal, but you watch these guys and they struggle. You realize that maybe it's a bigger deal than what you realize, but the camera honestly does not do this section of the race course justice.
Well, the section itself is difficult, obviously. The hill isn't nearly as steep or nearly as long as many that we climb at various different facilities. I think the difficulty here is you see those roots sticking out of the hill, especially for the dirt bike guys. Even on the ATV, those really cause you to lose traction and kind of mess up your flow as you're picking your line. You kind of get bounced around, and then if, God forbid, you try and get any traction on those things, it's just plain not happening. That's all there is to it. So it's easy enough to look at it from the bottom and say, well, that doesn't look so hard. But then when you actually have to climb it, it throws some unique challenges your way. And again, we've talked so much about this John Penton clay, and that's one of the places that it really can rear up and I guess show its ugly head. This rider now taking off, and he's taking the far right line. Looks like he's going to have a little better luck over there. We see some riders now here on this inside line. That's the most direct route up, but not actually the fastest this year. We see Caleb Russell and a number of the guys taking that line further towards the bottom, and they're you know, having a little better luck with it. So new lines this year. You know, we've raced here since, I believe, 1989, as I said, but you know, the GNCC track crew always evolving, always giving us new stuff to look at, Rodney.
Well, according to the John Penton Fast Facts that I have, Johnny, it says established in 1990, I believe, was our first event that was held here. So that makes it 26 years old. This will be the 27th running. Originally known as the Burr Oaks GNCC, the name changed to the John Penton GNCC in 2002. This was to pay tribute to the legendary John Penton himself. And of course, we know that John competed in numerous ISDEs, then known as the ISDT. They saw the need for lightweight off-road specific motorcycles, and after partnering with an Austrian bicycle company, KTM, John began importing the machines to the United States, then known as Penton. The machines became the go-to for racers in the early 1970s, and since then, John has done so many other things for the industry, like helping co-found High Point Products, which consisted of oils, parts, gears, and more, including High Point boots, which grew into the Alpine Stars brand that we know and love today. You know, the funny thing about that, the Alpine Stars connection actually happened as a coincidence. John was scheduled to visit a different ski boot manufacturer, but he ended up at Alpine Stars by accident. However, the partnership was born, and obviously the rest is history.
Absolutely, Rodney. You know, and a few years ago, I believe it was 2013 or maybe 2014, I think it was 2014, the John Penton movie came out. Had an opportunity to be at the premiere. They did it in Cleveland, Ohio, obviously close to home for me. Couldn't miss it. I had to buy some VIP tickets. We bought some box seats, and we overlooked the whole thing. It was quite an experience. Myself, Walker Fowler, his family, Becca Sheets, we all went, checked that out. What an event that was, and to see that man and all the great things that he's done for off-road motorcycle racing. You know, I got to say, the movie itself, excellent movie, but there's scenes within that movie at the beginning. You know, there's a story where John Penton just decides he's going to ride his motorcycle cross country because they said he couldn't do it. And, you know, the determination, the vision of that man and what it's done for what we're all seeing here today. You know, off-road racing in the United States was really born of people like John Penton, and off-road racing in Ohio was really born of John Penton. So it's awesome to see he's here with us today, walking around. You introduced him on the starting line and had an opportunity to speak with him for a few moments earlier. 90 years old, and just enjoying life, and got to be a very fulfilling feeling, I would think, for him to look and not only to have such a great event as this with all these people here named after him, but really to look and see, you know, everybody from, you know, the vendors that are here to the racers, you know, guys like Caleb Russell, who are, you know, the new face of KTM, which is a spin-off and an evolution of a brand which he created. And there we see Caleb Russell on screen, perfect timing, into the VP Fuels Pro Row, and that was almost as if it was scripted. One thing we don't see, Rodney, is where is the number 7 of Jordan Ashburn?
Well, we knew that we had seen about a 12-second gap open up the last time we saw him at the Rocky Mountain ATVMC River down there. And here they come now in through the pits. He's getting the pit board. This gap seems to be closer maybe now to 20 or plus seconds that we're seeing Jordan Ashburn behind.
And there is Josh Strang in his shadow. So what we had thought possibly Josh Strang was losing ground a little bit to Jordan Ashburn, now he's closed up the gap, and he's, I don't know, Rodney, I think we could almost say rear wheel. That's he's close enough to start talking those terms.
I think you're right, and if not, he will be once they hit this moto track, which Caleb Russell motors his way around right now in the completion of lap number 2 here, and actually coming right up on the 1 hour mark as we speak. As far as timing and scoring, we have him scheduled in about 1 minute, but we'll see.
Looks like he's going to be just a little bit early.
Yeah, it's lap time last time around 30 minutes, 14 seconds. We'll see what that reflects there as he makes his way through the double-double section. And he looks like he's having so much fun. And talking to Caleb, you know, as he wraps up this second lap of racing here in just a moment.
Trevor Bollinger now in the JCR pits. Looks like they're going to work on the front wheel. They're going to do a front wheel change. So this is not good news for the JCR Honda boys today. Had Bach having an issue with the front wheel. Look at that, Josh Strang.
Wow, I got to see that again. That was a beautifully executed pass and move coming in by the 114 of Josh Strang as they hit that double-double section right there. They pulled up side by side, and I mean that was pretty picturesque, to be honest with you, man. And again, watch the replay on that here in just a moment as we watch him try to remount looks like a front wheel on Trevor Bollinger's bike right now. So tough breaks for those guys right now for sure.
Thad Duvall pulling the trigger on the uphill triple on the moto track. We know Thad likes to get nasty, and no exception here today. He just sent it right over the triple, and we'll see. I'm sure he's going to throw some style here over this double.
All right, here comes that pass. The pass with Josh Strang coming in on the outside there on would be our left would be Ashburn, and there's Strang coming up on the inside.
Ashburn takes a look over and says, "Where'd you come from, guy?"
And Josh just simply falls into line there and takes over the number 2 spot. A well-executed move and rather stealthy. And remember, we talked about that. If he wasn't going to be on his rear wheel whenever they got to the motocross track, it would be not long. And not long was it as they pulled up side by side. And we now have a new second-place rider. We got lap times. Actually, you were right, a little bit early, just as we thought it was. 29 minutes and 54 seconds, so about 6-7 seconds faster lap on lap 2 than what we on lap number 1. That doesn't traditionally have. What's going on now?
Trevor Bollinger back into the JCR pits. So they forgot to put the caliper back on, or it somehow came loose. Now it's caught up in the wheel. So this was a bad situation that now has gotten much worse. He came in, they did a front wheel change. We saw him take off, and now he's back in the pits. It looks like they're going to have to possibly change a front. Yes, Rodney, look at this on screen. They're changing a front brake system. This is, oh, you know what, Rodney? I don't know that was an a mistake on their part. I would venture to guess that he had lost his front brakes. They had thought it was an issue with the rotor or the wheel. They changed it, and now they're changing the complete system.
That would make a lot of sense.
So this is really going to be a test of Trevor Bollinger's, composure, I guess we would say. He was running out there in the 4th place spot. Now, bear in mind, we see him on VP Fuels Pro Row, Rodney, but he has come from somewhere else on the track, so he's going to have to go back out. It looks like he's making some adjustments. It looks like he might be actually taking the brake lever itself off. So good to see Trevor keeping a good attitude about this. We don't see him. He's not walking away. He's not panicking. He knows these guys are going to get him back out there. We're going to see Trevor. You know what he's going to do, Rodney?
Put the hammer down.
He's going to put the hammer down, and he's going to scrape, and he's going to fight, and he's going to do everything that he can do to try and salvage some points today.
Well, talking with him earlier today, that's, we've seen the greatness out of him, and the thing about it is, coming into this round, he says, the best thing that he can do, he's got a bunch of wins under his belt, and he says, but right now, he says he's not even looking for wins right now. He's just looking to maintain podiums and be consistent the rest of the year to try to hold on to that points lead and win this championship. He said, barring bad days such as this, wow, there's something really major going on with that
we
front
see
wheel.
They're testing out that front brake system. It is working.
Okay.
They're snugging everything up. They're checking everything over, and they're not going to let him go until they know it's perfect, because 2 seconds here, Rodney, could mean minutes out on the track.
Oh, no doubt about that, Johnny.
And we did see on screen, or actually, I'm sorry, as I was looking across there, Trevor Bollinger in the JCR pits, what we just saw was Craig DeLong, Mike Witkowski, and possibly Lane Michael work their way through the VP Fuels Pro Row. So your top 3 are through the VP Fuel Pro Row. Trevor Bollinger out on his way. I believe he's got to go do the entire other side of this John Penton. The other section of the road over there is where it looked like he came from. So that's several minutes he's going to be giving up on these guys.
Well, Lane Michael leading the XC2 Pro Lights. He turned a lap time of 31:12. Second place, still waiting on Witkowski.
Craig DeLong on screen. He's made the pass on Mike Witkowski, and there we see DeLong in. There's Witkowski. Kudos to Witkowski, though, hanging on to DeLong there right on his rear wheel.
Yeah, they're 49.5 seconds back of Lane Michael, man. Michael is on rails right now, it looks like, as Witkowski drops about 3 seconds down behind Craig DeLong. I would have to venture to think that he ran into some sort of an issue out there. Caleb Russell out here at mile marker number 2, the FMF PowerPoint. Look at it, man. Honestly, the flow that we see Caleb Russell riding with today, I know that we saw him have a lot of fun a couple of weeks ago at Limestone, and we saw the smile on his face and the reaction, of how much fun. But, right now we are seeing Caleb Russell, I think, at his best. He is in a comfort zone and so smooth and just, it's almost liquid out there the way he's rolling through these hills.
Absolutely, and that's translating into some time buildup. We're at 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 seconds that he is clear of Josh Strang, who's taken over the number 2 spot, as we saw on screen there.
But one thing to point out, that does mean that Josh is staying rather steady, as he was about 21 seconds there behind Russell whenever they came through the finish line. So that's good news for Josh Strang. It's also good news for Caleb Russell, because they're not catching up to him right now. Jordy Ashburn was 0.4 of a second behind Josh Strang. We see that gap has obviously opened up a little bit there, I think.
Yeah, actually, he was right behind Strang there on screen, but it was definitely more than 0.4 of a second. He's dropped a few seconds. Here we see now our 4th place ride, and that is the number 5 rider on that KR4 Husqvarna, Thad Duvall. Looks like he's charging hard there, Rodney. I believe he might be trying to close the gap up on those guys. He's saying, hey, home race, I need to be on the podium.
Yeah, and we're starting, you got to watch, and you'll be able to find out, and you'll see it, you'll recognize it when he finds his flow out there, and honestly, he's searching for it, and I think he's very close to it right now. Like you say, he's pushing very hard, looking very dedicated, and looks like he's ready to mount a challenge, so we're just going to have to wait and see. If you look at deficits, though, he does have quite a bit of a deficit, but here's the interesting point to ponder on that. Here's an interesting point to ponder about Thad Duvall. He may be 42 seconds down behind Jordan Ashburn, but he actually turned a 29:59 lap time. It was only about 12 seconds or so quicker than Ashburn, and only about 3 or 4 seconds faster than Josh Strang's lap time out there. But the important thing to think about is that it was a faster lap time, and it is looking like he is beginning to ride with a little more aggression right now, which could speed that lap time up a little bit and which could close the gap on these guys. But again, as we roll through our first hour of race, now rolling into hour number 2, a lot more obstacles are going to become very apparent, that being the track itself with as many riders that are going around this race course that are. And obviously there could be some backup markers that are starting to pop up out there and could create a little bit of a flow pattern stall. But as we look right now, as far as top amateurs are concerned, we have to go all the way down to our 28th place position, where the 351 of Dustin Simpson out of Mount Pleasant, North Carolina from the 4-stroke A lights class, and the 704 of Tristan Landrum, who are, wow, .093. Wow, that's hundredths of a second apart, and they turn nearly identical lap times, are battling it out for right now the top overall amateur. I mean, look at that time right there, 3250.00, 3352.09, and the gap is .093. That's
so you got to wonder, if the gap is .093 and he was 0.09 faster, that means they were .003 apart last lap.
Yeah.
Mathematically, that's what it means. I don't know how that's possible.
So basically,
they must have fit through there at the same time.
Basically, what we're saying is that's a pretty good battle going on right now in the XC2 Pro Lights class. There's our leaders in the XC2 Pro Lights class. Is that the 523?
523, Elaine Michael.
Yeah, Lane Michael. Now remember, he's got quite a bit of a lead amassed over the rest of the field in that XC2 Pro Lights. I mean, we were approaching some 50 seconds or so. Looking at it right now, Craig DeLong was 49.5 seconds, but DeLong really seemed to be on the move. Caleb Russell at the Rocky Mountain ATVMC River now, as he's getting ready to make some more time up out here on this racetrack. We're joined in the booth now by one of our former GNCC champions, a multi-time national enduro champion, as well as all-around good GNCC guy. Talk about Hot Rod Charlie Mullins. And Charlie, welcome home to Ohio, man. I know you call North Carolina your address now, but we know as well as anyone that this is actually your home stomping grounds, Southern Ohio.
Yeah, for sure. It's always nice to come back to this one, and my first ever GNCC I ever done was here back in 1999, so it's a special event. You know, my first ever GNCC win was here, and it always brings back good memories coming back here, and you know, it's like home.
Back up just a second. Say that again. Your first ever GNCC race was here. Your first ever GNCC overall win was here.
Yeah,
that's pretty amazing. And now unfortunately, you're retiring, and this is, I guess, a good place as any to say farewell. Then, huh?
Yeah, it's you know, better than any. Like I said, it's awesome memories here. I have a lot of good memories and a couple bad ones, but you know, this place has it all. It's one of the trickiest, one of the more technical with the clay, and it looks good, but it's like ice out there. So it's always a tough one, you know, especially in the summertime, and it's just back in the Penton section. I can only imagine how hot it is right now, just the humidity just sitting in there. But
the air doesn't actually move back there, does it?
No, I don't even think you can breathe.
So you're not missing that part of the racetrack today?
No, not at all. But you know, I wish I was out there. It's you know, it's different being on this side of the fence watching, but you know, like I said, a lot of good memories here, but it's new life for me now, so it's definitely different, but you know, I think it'll get easier as, you know, time goes on.
You know, Charlie, I know that we haven't had a chance to talk a lot about and haven't heard really a whole lot about the retirement, but obviously in the off season, your intentions were to come back and try to be a formidable opponent, maybe even try to win another championship. Unfortunately, I think you figured out soon after the season started that was going to be much more of a challenge, just getting back to speed. I mean, the speed was there, but getting back to being able to ride for 3 hours with those wrists was a little tougher than what you thought, huh?
Yeah, you know, I had, you know, optimistic hopes. You know, I really honestly believed, you know, I could overcome it, and it was just kind of a bump in the road along the way. But it's been, you know, yesterday was exactly 2 years to the date that this whole injury started, so it's been a long 2 years of, you know, ups and downs, surgeries, rehab, trying to get back, and it unfortunately didn't work out, but you know, I can look back and say I tried. I really gave it 100% effort.
And you can look back and say that you were very accomplished at what you did. I mean, it's not like you left anything out there. I mean, you took everything home that you set out to take a long time ago.
Yeah, I'm more than happy with what I accomplished, but you know, as the racer, you're always chasing that win, and once you get that taste, it's a feeling and a rush that you can't really I don't even.
Speaking of rushes, man, what about leading that first round down there, man? That had to be a super rush for you.
Yeah, it was. It was good. I'm not gonna lie, it felt really good to come out and lead that first lap, and I gave it my all. And unfortunately, my wrist. You just forget how rough a GNCC is and how gnarly what they are, and just what it takes to run up front. It's so physically demanding of a sport. 3 hours out here in 90-degree heat and mud and rocks. It's just
takes its toll, doesn't it? Yeah, mind, body, and soul.
Yeah, it's not easy. And I had 10 good years of putting my body through that, and luckily I didn't have any major injuries along the way, other than my wrist. So I'm able to kind of step back from racing and still be in one piece and kind of live a normal life. So I'm thankful for that. But I still want to race, but that's not the reality of the situation. But you do what you can and you move on and you make the best out of it.
Speaking of racing, I know you've not been a part of it other than those first couple rounds you tried, but what about the championship season this year, man? I mean, your teammate Caleb Russell, watching his successes out there and the challenges that he's faced with this year.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with Caleb, especially having ACL surgery in the off season and coming back as quickly as he did. And the first two races, he had solid finishes, and now he's reeled off win after win, and he's looking in a good position right now. He looks strong, and he's on his game right now, and he's going to be, I think, the guy to beat the rest of the year. So they got a lot of work to do to catch him.
Yeah, they do. They most certainly do. But there's a lot of guys putting in a lot of work right now.
Yeah. Everybody we all train hard for that win. So I'm not. Everybody out there is putting in the work during the week, but Caleb, he's definitely stepping up his game, and he's riding really well.
Charlie, as we talk about Caleb, I have to tell you, he was the one actually I heard the news from that you were going to be announcing your retirement. We were talking on the phone the night before, and I got to tell you, he may never tell you this himself, but I made the comment of how much I respected you as a racer, and not only your accomplishments on the track, but also the way you've always conducted yourself off the track as a man in addition to a racer. And he just came right out and said, hey man, I'll be honest, he said, I'm a Charlie Mullins fan, I always have been. He said, it was very difficult for me to be a Charlie Mullins fan when I was racing for championships. He said, but I've always liked the guy. He said, it was hard for me not to tear up as he was telling me about it. It just shows the respect level. I mean, obviously so many championships, so many wins in your own right, but the guy that's currently on top of the sport, instead of looking at it as, hey, there's a guy I no longer have to beat, was legitimately torn up about the fact that he wasn't going to be racing anymore.
Yeah, he, we pushed the limits. I remember, Loretta as a 14 before, this whole thing happened. Me and him, we tangled bars last lap, just all out sprint towards the end, and we've had a lot of good battles along the way, and I feel, it elevated the speed of the sport for 3 hours of me and him just pushing,
and not only elevating the level of speed, but there was a time obviously in GNCC not that long ago when we had some talent coming from overseas that was kind of dominating things, and you guys were the guys that stepped up, you first, and obviously Barry Hawk was grabbing some wins away from those guys and made you guys see that it was possible, and then you were the first rider to kind of take back, defend the United States' honor and beat our the foreign invaders, and obviously we love those guys. It's all in good fun, but and also you were the first rider who was GNCC born and bred, as a youth rider to come up and win a championship. So phenomenal accomplishments, and again, Caleb following in your footsteps, and for you guys to get to battle, and now we see some younger riders coming up battling with Caleb, and it truly has been a pleasure. I still remember many years ago at the WISC GNCC, I had heard your name as an A rider or B rider, or even as a youth rider, and I remember when you were racing the 250A class, you had a standout race. I don't remember exactly what your overall was, but I think it was like a top 5 or from the 250A class, and you were, I don't even remember your number. It might have been 15 possibly.
Yeah, it was 15.
On a Yamaha, and I was like, who is this little kid out there on a 250 Yamaha? You weren't all that big of a guy, and you were out there just absolutely railing. The next year we saw you on that factory and pro Yamaha squad and out there doing work and winning races right away in that XC1 class, and what a ride it's been. And like Rodney said, hats off to you, and awesome to see you making the transition. And I find it hard to believe that we're not going to see Charlie Mullins pretty regularly into the future.
Yeah, fortunately for me, I got a few things in the works. KTM wants to keep me on board in some sense. So I have a couple good options, but I think I'm not going anywhere. GNCC's kind of my home, so I'll just be around in a different way. So it's still like home to me, and it's nice to know I have some opportunities here.
Awesome, man. Glad to hear that. Glad to hear that. It is
what a smart move on their part,
no
too.
Doubt.
The wealth of knowledge that this man possesses, to be able to kind of open up that tap, and maybe some of the stuff you're kind of keeping under your hat to keep as a little bit of a an advantage on your part. Now you can share with your KTM teammates, and not saying you were holding anything back from them, but obviously you work hard to find those little things, and with your experience, with your resume, to be able to kind of articulate to these guys the few little things that it takes, and be able to spot it from your perspective is such a huge advantage to those guys.
Yeah, I feel like like you said, I got 10 years of experience, and I feel like I have a lot to offer, and I think it's great. So but there are some little things I kept to myself as a racer, and I think we all do. You just want to kind of keep that edge to yourself that you feel that you need, but for me, I have no secrets to hide, and I'm willing to give all the information I can on possibly what it takes to win races and stuff like that.
Well, one thing I can say for sure, Rodney, I've had the opportunity to train with this guy a few times down in Florida, and he is a monster on a road bike. And from what I hear, thankfully, I've never had to ride a mountain bike with him, but I hear he's about twice as lethal on a mountain bike as he is on a road bike. So, I'm sure any thoughts of maybe pursuing some competitive cycling, or not really wanting to take in a new challenge just at this point?
Yeah, no new challenges, and mountain biking's kind of hit and miss with my wrist now. It kind of varies on the downhills and routes, but for the most part, I can ride a mountain bike somewhat no issues, and road bikes no issues at all, but it's just for fun. It's just something I enjoy, and it's became a passion of mine.
Well, my next question is, how long is it going to be before we're going to see you as a race dad, man? I mean, how old's your boy now, like 2 now or something like that, 3?
One's 3.5, and the other, he just turned a year old a couple weeks ago.
Wow,
so,
we're like 18 months away from seeing you out there at the micro races then, aren't we?
I don't know. He, he's got his own thing. He's in frogs and bugs and just, I guess, little boy stuff. He doesn't show much interest, but, the 1-year-old, we have a little PW50 in the garage, and he just wants to sit on it, and he's so in the bikes, and it's just crazy the difference you see at, 2 of them, and how into it the younger one is compared to the older. But I love them both, and whatever, no pressure on their end. If they want to do it, that's awesome, but it's just.
But you got him a nice set of golf clubs sitting over in the corner if they ever want to pick that up.
That's what he needs.
So here's an interesting one, Rodney. How long till we see, we saw obviously Caleb Russell, Charlie Mullins, a lot of these guys out there banging bars for so many years, and as he put it, pushing it to the limit, really elevating the sport. How long until we see Caleb Russell and Charlie Mullins, elbowing each other out of the way, trying to get to their kids? You got both of their kids out there on PETA, or on KTM little 50s or whatever they may be, battling, and they're trying to get to their kid in the mud hole first. I can already see it on RacerTV.com. We're going to be watching GNCC live, and we're going to see these guys out there elbowing each other. It's going to be like old times.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be quicker than we realized. Checking back into the racing action right now. Again, I believe our leaders do in about 8 minutes. That puts us back out in that Penton section. Russell, Strang, Ashburn was our top 3 the last time we caught up with them. Duvall had moved into the number 4 spot, and Ricky Russell rounded out the top 5. Lane Michael is 6th overall, leading the XC2 Pro Lights class. We got Craig DeLong in 2nd. Mike Witkowski was 3rd right there, and we got Megawatt Matt Watson standing by over in the JCR pits.
Hey, thanks, Rodney. We're down here with Eric right now. Unfortunately, Eric, I love talking to you guys, but not under these situations. Noticed that Trevor pulled in, had an obvious front wheel problem, turned out to be a brake problem. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, he must have took a rock impact to the brake disc. So we changed out the front wheel, and then we either didn't pump it up enough. When he went back out, he realized he thought it still was the front brake, and so he came back and we just put a whole new system on it. And then we just tested it out, and the disc was definitely bent. So blood pressure's high, and you're just going for it. So. Same with Trevor, so he didn't pump up the brake, and it happens.
So all good back on the track and back up to race speed.
Yeah, actually, Chris is right behind Trevor, so both of us having, both riders having issues today, and they're pretty much going to probably, hopefully, freight train it towards the front,
Right on. Thank you so much. Back to you in the studio, Rodney.
All right, thanks a lot, Megawatt. And an update on that second place battle in the XC2 Pro Lights. I understand here, last check we had, looked like Wachowski had actually gotten back around Craig DeLong from the reports that we're getting right now. So
it's heating up.
It is, and it is literally heating up on the track. And temperature-wise out here, I'm getting hot and stuff.
Sun's out, guns out, man. The sun comes out in this place. It's like somebody turned on the preheat cycle on the oven.
Mercy. It is southeastern Ohio, and it is summertime early on here as we are meeting the challenges, seeing many of the challenges these riders are meeting out here at the 2-mile marker as we continue to wage war out here. Looking down through our standings, as we had told you, we were looking at, 4-stroke A lights riders. We were talking about that basic race that they had, literally identical lap times through the first little bit there, and we're going to be checking in with that again here in a few moments. Another class to keep an eye out on right now is the 258 class leader now, who is up to 25th overall according to the latest timing and scoring. He turned a 33:10 lap time, which was about 20 seconds faster than Tristan Landrum in the 4-stroke A lights class, who is now the top amateur leader on adjusted scores out there. So we got ourselves a battle about ready to happen on time adjustments, rather more than on the physical aspect of it now as far as that's concerned.
Yeah, absolutely. With Tristan Landrum, he's a hometown boy. I think lives not at all far from here. Rodney, you'd obviously know. Oh, there I see, Nelsonville, Ohio. Never mind, that answers that question. So he's not only close to here, he might have actually ridden his bike here today.
Quite possibly, yes.
But, that again, that's that little bit of extra confidence. Charlie, you were telling us earlier, getting your first win here. I mean, obviously you grew up in Hamilton, which is, about an hour from here, a little more? Or?
I was a little more, a couple hours, but, still.
But this was the closest GNCC for you growing up for the most part?
The closest one was actually when we ran in Sparta, Kentucky.
Oh, right.
That was, 45 minutes away. So, that was a good one too. A couple good memories at that race too. So.
Yeah, they had the best chicken tenders at that pit stop gas station. I remember that one.
Come on, man. I haven't eaten anything since breakfast. Don't start talking about chicken tenders. I'm going to be over at this food vendor buying them out of pizza or whatever they got.
That was very unique. I like the Sparta one. We were right there with the Kentucky Motor Speedway, and one of the muddiest races I've ever seen, other than some of these that John Penton happened right there also.
Yeah, I believe, what was it, 04, it actually got canceled, and they postponed it to the fall, and it was a lot drier then. But, yeah, Sparta was always a nice hometown race for me, and it was good.
Yep, no doubt. And you never know what kind of great things we'll see as far as the future is concerned. And like we say, Charlie, just glad that you're going to still be sticking around the GNCC Racing Nation, coming out to some of these events and helping out behind the scenes as far as the racing world is concerned. I know that you've got a lot of knowledge to pass along there. An hour and 20 minutes, 25 now, working on 26 minutes. And we got about 4 minutes or so before our leaders are due in. Russell, Strang, Ashburn, Duvall, and Ricky Russell now rounding out the top 5. We'll check back with more when GNCC Live continues after this.
When it comes to protecting your engine, AMSOIL offers the next level performance truck owners demand. AMSOIL provides 75% more engine protection against horsepower loss and wear than required by a leading industry standard, extending the life of pistons and cams. Give the vehicle you love the above and beyond fortification it deserves. AMSOIL, devoted to protection.
Maxxis Tires.
Here at Rocky Mountain ATV MC, our goal has always been to get you the best price and provide quality service. Now, we're giving you one more reason to shop with Rocky Mountain. We call it Quick Cash. It's simple to get. Just place an order with a qualifying Quick Cash item and get cash to spend on your next order. Try it out today. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
The Andersons discovered life is easier with an Outlaw RV. The Outlaw is a complete home on wheels with a multifunctional garage. Getting on the road has never been quicker. The Outlaw is made to fit the lifestyle of today's active families. So stop roughing it and start enjoying your weekends. Find the Thor Motor Coach Outlaw that fits your needs at GarageRVs.com today.
I'm a sore loser.
I'm a sore loser. Losing is not an option for me.
Be the best.
The best.
The best.
You have to have the best equipment under the hood. That's why I only use
Cometic products in my engines.
Cometic gasket. Cometic gasket. Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket, a superior quality gasket
For those of us who demand the highest level of performance.
And welcome back to GNCC Live from Millfield, Ohio for the Whites coach John Penton GNCC. Round 7 of the AMSOIL Grand National Cross Country Championship Series presented by Maxxis. Rodney Tomlin along with Johnny Gallagher, Megawatt Matt Watson, and stepping out of the booth, former GNCC champion and now former GNCC racer, Hot Rod Charlie Mullins. And enjoyed the time spent here in the booth there just a moment ago and looking forward to what the future has to hold for him. Again, looking at these standings, the top 10 mixed with both XC1 and XC2 riders out there. Here's some interesting notes to me right now is Ricky Russell, what we're seeing out of that rider. You know, we've seen some pretty decent and strong rides, I think, considering his regraduation back into XC1. Speaking of XC1, we're right here at the Pro Pits where Caleb Russell's getting a fresh tank of gas, no fresh goggles. He held on to the goggles he had, a quick drink of water, and he's back out of the pits.
Back out of the pits, and like you said, no goggles, splash of fuel, some water down his back, a drink of water. He's got that bottle hanging, and hydration going to be key today. You know, Rodney, with conditions being the way they are, and it's kind of a unassuming heat. You know, if you're out there and the air's moving, you don't feel like you're that warm. But I got to tell you, yesterday, despite the fact that I wasn't able to push 100% because of the loss of rear brakes, you know, I was really dehydrated when this was all over and said and done. Bad cramping.
Right. Here's something interesting. Remember a lap ago we were running about, it seemed quite a bit ahead of schedule. It ended up being about 5 or so seconds. But right now these riders are checking in under the late category, believe it or not. So some things have slowed down out there a little bit. But it looks like the gap of 21 seconds between Russell and String has lengthened just a little bit. We'll know more officially when they check in. Russell out on the moto track right now as he carves his way through the family motocross track right now. The family moto farm, if you will, and he is set to wrap up lap number 3. I was mentioning Ricky Russell. I want to continue that thought real quick and commend him on a strong ride here today and his advancements. We're seeing some good, steady advancements out of him, not the flashes of brilliances like we were talking about there earlier. He's another rider that is steadily building himself up into be a top 5 contender.
Absolutely. You know, you saw Ricky was a force in that XC2 class. Unfortunately, a couple years in a row had some poorly timed injuries. There we see now Thad Duvall in the VP Fuels Pro Row getting some service from the KR4 crew. Josh Strang out on the moto track. Interesting there, Rodney. He seems to have really pulled out on Jordan Ashburn there. We don't even see Ashburn in the shot. As you said, officially we'll be checking in here in just a few minutes, or a few moments. But again, back to Ricky Russell. Like you said, it's been a steady rise over the past couple of rounds that he's really been advancing himself and stepping up his game and working himself towards possibly a top 5 finish, which would be huge for the confidence of a guy like Ricky Russell.
Well, 30 minutes, 30 seconds. That's about a 34-second longer lap on lap 3 for Caleb Russell. But he still entertains now a 30-second lead, nearly 31 seconds, as he was about 10 seconds faster than Strang on that last time around. So both Strang and Russell have checked in. 30.8 seconds is the official time gap between them, and we continue to wait on Ashburn. There he is checking in right now as we speak here at the finish line, and he's 32.8, so call that 33 seconds behind. His lap time of 31.12. Things are starting to slow down here as we approach the midway point, or at the midway point, actually.
Rodney, look at this. The rider up here, we see Ricky Russell, but look at this. Thad Duvall, as he works his way over that double. A little bit of style. Bad Thad always throws it down. Was 42 seconds back of Ashburn last lap. This is not 42 seconds, Rodney. He is chipping away at that gap.
All right, his lap time last time around was 29.59. He was under the 30-minute mark there with Caleb Russell. This time a 30.55, so he slows down by nearly a minute. So all of our top 4 riders so far have slowed down quite a bit when you start taking into consideration what we saw in those first 2 laps. Now, lap 1, we expect to be a different lap time, but we expect things to be more consistent with lap number 2. But again, heat, that John Penton section, I'm sure is probably taking its toll on a lot of the B-class and A-class riders, and that's probably where some of that extra time was added onto their lap.
Lapped riders, bottlenecks, the conditions are getting slicker. Again, it's these guys are, they're pushing, but sometimes there's obstacles in your way, and can't go through things. Got to go, oh, look at this. We've got some riders. This guy's taking quite a bit of our Sunday Creek Raceway course markings with him, trying to make things interesting.
Double arrows, ride between the double arrows.
Yeah, that's
stay out of the banners.
That's a complete lack of patience there. I mean, he could have easily gone around, but he just decided to go through, and unfortunately cost himself quite a bit more time than it would take and just go around. But
lucky that thing didn't ramp up in his rear wheel.
For sure, that could have been quite a lengthy amount of time to get that out. But now we see, looks like Ricky Russell. So here's our 5th place rider as he checks in, still solidly in 5th. We don't even see our 6th place rider as yet out on the motocross track, who was overall Lane Michael in class, Stu Baylor Jr. there in that 6th place spot in the XC1 class. And Thad Duvall, all those guys, although the lap times are getting a little bit longer, Thad Duvall was able to knock that 42-second gap down to 25. So that's a substantial gain of 17 seconds over Jordan Ashburn that lap. And at that rate, he'd be on the rear wheel of Ashburn when we see him again in one more lap if he can continue doing that. Or is Jordan Ashburn's crew going to get the word to him, and are we going to see the number 7 possibly push back up to the 114 of Josh Strang?
Interesting things unfolding right now in the XC2 Pro Lights portion of our battle today. Lane Michael with a 49.5-second lead at the end of lap number 2 is due in within the next minute or so. I would assume that might be stretched out. Is that him in the pro pits right now?
Lane Michael into the Coastal Racing pits, and looks pretty composed there. Pretty calm. We see his dad, we see the Coastal crew, we see his girlfriend, his sister. Family affair here. They're getting Lane some fresh goggles. We see the extra sweat prevention that he has on those goggles there. He's out there, and now we see the JCR crew looking down. They're waiting on their man, Trevor Bollinger, but going to be a couple minutes until he makes it through. So Lane Michael, your XC2 leader, out almost onto the Sunday Creek motocross track. We'll be seeing him come down the hill here in just a moment. Now, 2nd place ride again back around Wachowski is the number 11 of Craig DeLong, also into those Coastal Racing pits. He's getting some fuel, and he's got some fresh goggles there. Now, we're being told that Mike Wachowski actually pitted on the Auxiliary Pro Rosso. Look at that.
Wow.
That's as close as it could be. So we didn't get a shot at Wachowski pitting, but he did have a bottle hanging, Rodney. So I don't know about you, but it leads me to believe that he got some gas as well.
I would assume that's exactly what happened there. And that battle's only going to intensify over the next hour and the 30 minutes or so between those riders. As we pick up with our leaders, there's Caleb Russell now out near the 2-mile marker, the FMF PowerPoint, as he makes his way up that rather technical part of the racetrack, actually weaving through some lap traffic right there. And we should be seeing Lane Michael. There he is on the moto track right now. Now, he is about 30 seconds late according to our estimated calculations here with timing and scoring right now as we roll through this 3rd lap of racing for the XC2 Pro Lights. It'll be interesting to see what the gaps are starting to look like there between 1st and 2nd.
But at 30 seconds late, isn't he early? Based on the rest of our riders that we've seen thus far.
That's kind of what I was thinking too, as we should be seeing him check right through the finish line, and he does at 32:24. So that puts him actually about a minute or so slower, like it had calculated there.
Look at this battle on screen, Rodney. Craig DeLong in the 2nd place in XC2. 3rd place is Mike Wachowski. Both of them sending the booter double there right before the finish line. And these guys are really laying it down. You got to wonder, are they going to be able to close up that gap on Lane Michael the way they're pushing each other?
Well, 26 seconds is the gap now. It was 49.5. 26.3 is what we're looking at right now. 1.3 seconds between DeLong and Wachowski. Their lap times, get this, a 32.01 and a 31.59. That was some 23, 24 seconds faster than Lane Michael's time around that time around. And not saying that Lane couldn't afford that little bit of extra time that he's taken out there on the course.
Rodney, look at this. It was 28 seconds at the end of that battle, or at the end of that banner, and it was 42 for, it was 28 for, 36-28 for Jordan Ashburn, 36-42 for Thad Duvall. He's closed that gap up about another 10 seconds. So we're now from 25. He's got it down to about 15. Look at this. The entire AmPro Yamaha crew here in the pits. Looks like that is that Daniel Milner and Grant Baylor? I would assume that's who those two were, unless it was Nick Davis. He's also up in there as well. So those guys all getting some fuel and service and fresh goggles and water at the same time.
Well, right now, as far as the overall is concerned, Lane Michael, Craig DeLong, and Mike Wachowski are running 7th, 8th, and 9th place overall, even with the 26.3 second gap between first and second. So these guys are still solid on their lap times today, staying and maintaining a solid top 10 position.
How about Corey Buttrick there in the 10th place overall position, which would put him 7th in XC1 Pro. I believe he is another rider who may have gotten his first ever.
Yeah, in 2010, he actually got his first win right here in his XC1 rookie season.
Yeah, you know, Corey was an amateur standout coming up through, had that factory KTM ride, won a couple races, unfortunately had a knee injury, and he's been working his way back. And, you know, we've seen him have some good rides at the end of 2015. And what a confidence booster it would be here for him today to put in, you know, potentially get up there and maybe battle with a guy like this here, Ricky Russell, currently who's running 5th, Stu Baylor in 6th, and it is Corey Buttrick in 7th. You know, those guys all trying to be the guy that kind of gets the little bit of best of the guys that haven't been up in that top 5 so far this year. Obviously, Baylor having that great podium ride. So these guys are charging hard here early.
Well, as we take a look at the XC1 Pro class itself and a top 10 breakdown, Russell, Strang, Ashburn, Duvall, Russell, your top 5. That's the way they're running in the overall also. Stu Baylor is 6th overall on the 514. Corey Buttrick is 7th overall. 8th overall, the 113 of Russell Bobbitt. The 55 of Scotty Grills is 9th. And UKJT, Jason Thomas, the number 8 machine, rounds out your top 10. Then we see Grant Baylor back there in 11th. Levi Kilbarger, who is a motocross and supercross racer, is now, well, racing his second ever GNCC Race the Sportsman A class at the Limestone 100, lining up in the XC1 Pro class here today with that guy right there, Caleb Russell. But Kilbarger back in 12th. Chris Bach is 13th with 2 laps complete, so he's back into the action out there. It looks like Milner and Douglas still working on lap number 2. But, man, look how far ahead, 4 miles ahead at least. Caleb Russell is ahead of Milner and Chris Douglas and those guys. Pretty wild.
Yeah, well, actually a lap and 4 miles ahead because they're working on they're still out trying to complete lap number 2. He's already completed lap number 3. So I think those guys are really having some issues, obviously. So presumably, Rodney, I guess that would mean that was Nick Davis we saw in the pits, not Daniel Milner.
Exactly.
Because obviously Davis does have 3 laps completed, whereas Milner only has 1. Oh, Trevor Bollinger, TB10, into the VP Fuels Pro Row, ahead of Sam Evans. So as we look back through here, Evans' last lap in our XC2 Pro Lights class was running an 11th place spot. Bollinger all the way back in 16th. So if Evans has stayed the same, that means that Bollinger has worked his way back up. And Evans was 40 seconds behind Mason Atherton, who is 10th in XC2. So it wouldn't be a stretch to think that we might see Trevor Bollinger knocking on the door of the top 10 here, just 1 lap after having it, you know, catastrophic problems, having to be in the pits for all that time and head back out to the track and get back on many, many minutes behind.
Lane Michael, DeLong, Wachowski are your top 3. What happened right there?
Thad Duvall can see Jordan Ashburn now, Rodney. It's not 15 seconds. It's not 10 seconds. It's not 5 seconds. He is 1 or 2 lapped riders behind Jordan Ashburn. Bad Thad is on the gas.
Oh, it's going to be interesting as we see Lane Michael out here at the 2-mile marker at the FMF PowerPoint. Vance Francis, by the way, is 3rd in the XC2 Pro, or 4th in the XC2 Pro Lights class. Nick Davis is 5th. Josh Toth out of Connecticut and Benjamin Kelly, also out of Connecticut, are running 6th and 7th. Jesse Grom 8th, Zach Hayes 9th, and Mason Atherton rounding out the top 10.
Rodney, this is Craig DeLong on screen, and I believe that might be his shadow, Mike Wachowski, behind him. I don't know about it. There it is, the 282 of Mike Wachowski. That was not the 30 or 20 whatever seconds it was on the moto track just a few moments ago. Those boys are closing up the gap on our XC2 leader, Lane Michael.
There's Caleb Russell out near the 4-mile marker now again. As we take a look at those conditions, man. Again, I mean, it's hot, it's muggy, and we haven't seen rain since Wednesday. Actually, I don't think we've seen rain around here since about Tuesday or maybe even last Sunday, but regardless, it's still wet out there.
It is wet, it is hot. There are sections that are muddy, but it is wet and it is hot.
Well, this is... This is a good, I guess, cross-section of GNCC racing at the John Penton, that's for sure.
There's your number 2 rider, Josh Strang, and we'll wait and we'll watch. We know that Jordan Ashburn had lost some ground. We'll see if he's able to make that charge. We know Thad Duvall, hot on his heels, charging. We'll see him next here at the 4-mile marker. Rodney, I got to believe, I'll tell you right now, I think we're going to see Jordan Ashburn with the tail, and I think that tail is going to be the number 5 Husqvarna of Thad Duvall.
I think you're absolutely right. We saw him growing that tail just a few moments ago, and we're going to be witnessing what is taking place here with that in just a moment. I do want to make mention again about Benjamin Kelly and Jesse Grom, or excuse me, not Jesse, but Josh Toth. Those two running 6th and 7th. They did so well in their last round. Don't want to forget about them. They are still doing very well. There's Ashburn making his way through. Now, where is the number 5? There he is.
Lost a little bit of ground, but I think that could be a result of exactly what you're seeing on screen. Left riders. Yep. Carnage, Rodney, carnage.
Everywhere, and you can see that this is just a small section of this race course, and I know that this section is not as bad as some of the others can get or are getting, I would say.
Absolutely. You know, it's tough out there, and there's some sections that are difficult for even the best riders, and when you throw in some of the riders that are really struggling with those sections and they're kind of occupying the best lines, it makes it even more difficult because then you have to pick alternate lines, and that really gets challenging when you don't know what's there. But you know, for sure, Rodney, you mentioned the Connecticut boys of Benjamin Kelly and Josh Toth. You know, both of those guys really kind of.
My message is lit up after that race.
We gotta, you know, we gotta give it up to those guys, and you know, certainly still running solid today. And I believe you said 6th and 7th in that XC2 Pro Lights class. And you know, those guys, I don't know what it was about those conditions. I was actually talking to Chris Bach about it, and I said, how about those Connecticut boys? He said, man, they're J-Day guys. He said, you know, they're used to like the mud. He said they're used to tough technical conditions. He said, but that place was rutty. He said they don't do ruts at J-Day. He said, so I don't know what got into those two, but whatever. I'll tell you what, if I was Josh Toth and Benjamin Kelly, I would go back and I would sit down with a notepad and I would write out every single thing that I did the days leading up to that race. I would eat the same things. I would stop at the same gas stations. If they stopped and filled up in Kentucky on their way to that race in Indiana, which I don't know why they would go that way, but if they stopped in Ohio, I would go to that same gas station, get the same bottle of water every time, even if the race was in Florida. I would go that far out of my way because those boys were on fire at the Limestone 100.
Yes, they were. And who's to say that we won't see them ignite again here today as these conditions begin to develop and become a little more challenging, I think, as the day wears on. We're an hour and almost 45 minutes into this, Johnny, and with I'm assuming that we're probably looking at a 6-lap race, I would think, with lap times about 30 minutes. There's our XC2 guys on screen here at the 4-mile marker now, and the Rocky River, as we like to call it, there at the Rocky Mountain ATVMC.com River. Get ready.
52 seconds as he went, 44.52 as he went by that big rock there. So we'll get a time. We'll see what it is. And is this Witkowski? It sure is. So he's made his way back around Craig DeLong. So, and there is DeLong. So these guys taking a little bit different line, and it's looking like it's about 15 plus 8, so about 23 seconds. So Michael able to stretch it back out a little bit. You got to wonder, is his crew getting the word to him that those boys are tagged up and running in tandem trying to track him down?
Well, I'm sure that the pit crew's out there letting them know that he can't relax too much.
There we see Chris Bach on screen. So he's now at the 2-mile marker. Again, the leaders have already passed. We see our XC2 lights leaders at the 4-mile marker. So, you know, our XC1 guy's quite a bit past that. So he's really charging hard. Looks like he's trying to chip away at that time gap and see if when we last saw he was still outside the top 40 overall. So I don't know if we basically the goal at this point for him, Rodney, would be to get back into the top 20 if it were at all possible to score some points. So we'll see. There is Zach Hayes, one of our XC2 Pro Lights riders, working his way up there. Now we're back to the 4-mile marker, and that is not one of our XC2, but we will be seeing those guys in that battle here in just a few moments.
Yeah, this is out past that. Now, Trevor Bollinger on screen right now. Calculations looks like that puts him about 2 miles or so behind the front runners in that class.
Interesting here, Rodney. You know, I did just see that was Zach Hayes on screen, who's 19th overall. Chris Bach had just physically passed him. So if Hayes was still running that same pace, that means that Bach might be approaching. That would put him a minute behind that being back into the top 20 overall. Again, we're going off of what we're seeing on screen. This isn't official timing and scoring. We're a lap behind on that because of these guys being at the 4-mile marker or 2, and as of a few miles ago. Now, the other thing we saw on screen was Trevor Bollinger, as our producer pointed out, about 2 miles behind the XC2 Pro Lights leaders, but also he's pretty close to Chris Bach there, so that's an interesting little side note there. Those two guys, teammates, ride together a little bit, and now they're out on track not more than maybe 15 seconds apart. If those two link up, as we see our XC2 Pro Lights leader right there working his way up that hill at the 4-mile marker, could we see Bach and Bollinger teaming up, pushing each other, trying to work their way back towards salvage mode for the day?
Right. It'll be interesting to watch unfold, that's for sure. Now, some of you folks, just in case you're a little confused, that you're seeing at the 4-mile marker the Rocky Mountain ATVMC.com river, and then it actually is, it's actually at the 3.9 mile marker. If you really do the technical aspect of it, when they go through the Rocky Mountain river down through there, they go through a little loop through the woods there. It's about 3/4 of a mile, so it goes from 3.9 to like 4.2. So we get a chance to see them real close together like that.
Yeah, you know, and you got to see on screen here. So we see speaking of teammates, the Ampro boys are running together. Grant Baylor there, looking like when we last saw Baylor, I believe he was running in the 17th place overall, and he was running. That would put him maybe around 10th or so in our XC1 Pro Light or XC1 Pro class. Ninth place there. And Scott Grills, shout out to him, and look at that on cue. He shows up on screen, and he was 10th in our XC2 Pro Lights. But I will say Chris Bach has already come through that section, so that means Bach is now physically 10th in our XC1 Pro Lights class. He's made his way around Grills, but shout out to Scott Grills, you know, Ohio guy from Wellington, Ohio, and out there putting in a top 10 ride in that XC1 Pro class.
Well, as we take a look at the overall right now, an hour and 48, working on 49 minutes now into this race. Caleb Russell continues to lead here at his home family farm, the Weisco John Penton GNCC. Josh String second, Ashford is third, Duval fourth, and Ricky Russell rounds out the top 5 as GNCC Live continues after this.
When it comes to guarding your engine, AMSOIL offers the next level performance enthusiasts demand. AMSOIL provides 75% more engine protection against horsepower loss and wear than required by a leading industry standard, extending the life of pistons and cams. Give the vehicle you love the above and beyond protection it deserves. AMSOIL, devoted to protection.
Maxxis Tires. CST Tires.
You smell it, you feel it, you can taste it in the air. Speed, man. Full wide open. Blast. I didn't really like high school too much. Too booky, too take notes, learn this, and that's it. Got WyoTech. They have full-size motorcycles. The feeling of taking them apart every day, putting them back together. You can't explain it. Everything I learned applies to now. Seeing your motorcycle that you put together right around the track at 180 miles an hour, oh, definitely rewarding. My name's Mike. My school's WyoTech.
Get on the fast track to a career. Turn pro at WyoTech.
I've been with Leatt for a lot of years, and I know the dedication they have for safety. When they told me they were coming out with a helmet, I signed right up.
And every night has its day so magical. And if there's love in this life, there's no obstacle that can't be defeated. For every tyrant to tear for the vulnerable, in every loss all the bones of a miracle. For every dreamer a dream, we're unstoppable, with something to believe in.
Well, it's a day of remembrance here at the Wiseco John Penton GNCC as we celebrate Memorial Day 2016, paying homage to those that went on before us, fighting for our rights and freedoms and protecting us as Americans. And as well, we thank those that are currently serving across the world and that have served, and we thank you so very much. It is round 7 of America's premier off-road racing championship, the AMSOIL GNCC Series, welcoming you to the Wiseco John Penton GNCC. Rodney Tomlin along with Megawatt Matt Watson, also Johnny Gallagher along with us, reminding you to play along in our Instagram fun contest where you can hashtag us GNCC Live with a photo of you on Instagram. How you're hashtagging GNCC. You could end up with a Moto Tees event t-shirt courtesy of Moto Tees. Check them out. There's Jesse Bryn. 10 seconds go, they say, and welcome on board. Looks like we got a little IndyCar and GNCC being streamed here today by Stretch ASU. Stretch ASU is multitasking with some GNCC Live and some hashtag Indy 500 today. So glad to have you on board with us here, Stretch, and glad to have all the folks that are along with us on the World Wide Web through RacerTV.com's web channel at livestream.com. And it is another great day here in southeastern Ohio. Hot, muggy, and it's a little deceiving out here on the moto track with the dust and stuff that is kicking up. But honestly, we got some moist soils here. We've got a challenging racetrack, and we got a great race that is unfolding amongst all of our riders. Russell leading, Josh Strang, the last check, just over 30 seconds, with Jordan Ashburn behind him in third. Thad Duvall had caught up to Ashburn, though, and was challenging for the third place position. Ricky Russell was fifth. 6th, Stu Baylor. Lane Michael leading the XC2 Pro Lights with 7th overall. Craig DeLong was 8th. 9th, Mike Bukowski. And that was your third place. Now he's moved up to 2nd around DeLong in the XC2 Pro Lights. And Corey Buttrick, who got his first ever and one and only XC1 Pro Lights win right here at the John Penton back in 2010 as an XC1 Pro Class rookie, is out there rounding out the top 10. That puts him, I believe, in 7th place in the XC1 Pro Class itself. As we take a look at a class-by-class breakdown here of all of our riders. We're going to start with the B class here today. We're going to take a look at the top 5 here. They include the 807 leading the Open B bike out of Elkins, West Virginia by about 43 seconds is Craig Daft. 373 of Dominic Jarvis out of Wallace, West Virginia is running second. The 812 of Zach Perry from Myersdale, PA is 17 seconds back in third. Ryan McManus, the 519 out of Nelsonville, Ohio, is fourth. And Josh Atkins from Londonderry, Ohio, the 139 machine, rounds out the top 5. 250B, Nick O'Brien and Big Timmy Steiner. That's actually Little Timmy Steiner. He's a big boy, but we call him Little Timmy anyway. His dad, Big Jim. Little Timmy there, the 236 out of Manhattan, New York, 1 minute and 2 seconds behind O'Brien right now. O'Brien out of Chillicothe, Ohio. Ohio's first capital, by the way. And just up the road from Chillicothe, a little burg called Frankfurt. Jake Gibbons is from there on the number 375. He currently runs in the number 3 spot, another minute and 13 seconds back in third. 247, Matthew Davis out of Bertrandville, Pennsylvania, just 9 seconds off the pace of third. And rounding out the top 5, the 203 of Eddie White III, E3, if you will, out of Greensboro, Pennsylvania, minute and 29 seconds back, but holding a steady 5th place position out of 18 riders that have checked in that 250B class so far. Looking at the 200B class, Teague Securo from Fairmont, West Virginia, minute and 2 second lead over 371 Adam Parker from New Kensington, Pennsylvania. Nathan Davis, the 463 from Vail, North Carolina, is third. 4th place is the 477 of Chase Colville out of West Sunbury, PA. And Hank Hayes, the 539 from Oakdale, Pennsylvania. Big name from the motocross world is out here with us in the number 5 spot of the 200B class. As we look next, we go and shift gears, I believe, into some, nope, we're still in the B class. Looks like Colton Cup leading the 4-stroke B lights class. Brendan Poling out of Grafton, West Virginia, which is just south of Morgantown, which is where Colton Cup is from. A minute and 8 seconds back in the number 2 spot. Hunter Williams from Sophia, North Carolina, another 39 seconds back in third. Britton Laird out of Claysville, PA, 324 is fourth. Bolton B. Roth out of Pfafftown, North Carolina. Maybe that's Platttown. I got something on my computer screen there, but Platttown, North Carolina rounds out your top 5 there for the 4-stroke B lights and Bolton. Then we got Jared Hoffman, the Vet B30 Plus class leader out of South Park, PA, with Josh Doman out of Rawlings, Maryland, the 407, running in second, about 2 minutes back. Brandon Clayton, the 505 from Washington, PA, is third. Fourth place, the 110 Scott Dowland from Waynesburg, PA, and the 103 of Bill Zavendi out of Cabot, Pennsylvania, rounds out the top 5. Next is the senior B class. The 40-plus class leader is David Galliano from Weston, West Virginia. He's one of 2 Beta motorcycles on the track out here in this class today. Christian Broombaugh, the 377, is second. He's also on a Beta machine. There are 4 minutes and 49 seconds separating the two, so Galliano has certainly got this day dialed in on that Beta machine. Jeffrey Flynn, by the way, back in the number 3 spot, about 36 seconds off the pace of Broombaugh. 104 of Devin Ferguson out of Knoxville, Tennessee, is fourth. Mark Proper, who got the whole shot out here, is the 434 machine out of Guy's Mill, Pennsylvania. He rounds out the top 5, and I want to thank Mark Proper for sending me the email or the message there on Facebook informing me that I have been pronouncing his name improperly. It's not proper, it's proper. So anyway, good job. Mark got the whole shot out there today, and he's got to be feeling good about that. He's riding on a Husky. Up next, the XC2 Pro Lights. Michael DeLong, Witkowski, Vance Francis, and Nick Davis are your top 5 there. 2 minutes, 12 seconds separating third to fourth. Josh Toth, the number 6 ride, and the 206. Ben Kelly, also that Connecticut flavor there, the 530 and 7th. Jesse Grom, the 19, is 8th. Zach Hayes is 9th place. And rounding out the top 10, Mason Atherton, the 717. Open A bike. By the way, for those of you race fans here at the racetrack, ice cream! Come and get your ice cream! That's right, the FFA Cafe has got it going on. And this being the unofficial kickoff to summer 2016, those of you watching at home, go to the freezer, go down to the store and get you a big old gallon or 2 of ice cream and enjoy what summer is all about out here. And yeah, we're going to try to get some for the whole TV crew inside that trailer for you guys to stand by. We'll see what we can do. Open A bike class, Zach Clampheth. Now, here's probably one of the area's biggest racers, off-road racers, and probably one of the biggest never going to be top riders, simply because he does not actually push the national scene as of yet. That could change in the future as Caleb Russell makes his way through the pro pits. But Zach Clampheth is a hot shoe from Canal Winchester in southeastern Ohio, and he is one of the fastest men around, and quite likely could be one of the fastest men on the planet. He's trained so very, very hard, so very dedicated to the off-road racing here in the southeastern Ohio. But so often we'd love to see him out here at the racetrack, and you can see right now he's got a 2 minute and 1 second lead over the rest of the field after 3 laps of racing there. So that ought to give you a pretty good indication he's pretty good. Dylan Rash running in the number 2 spot aboard the 37 out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Walker, West Virginia's Brady Myers, the 48, is third. The 370, Michael Pillar out of Dover, Ohio, is fourth. And Tyler Soriano out of Yerkesville, Ohio, rounds out the top 5. 250A class, Zach Nolan leading out of Masontown, West Virginia, will be there later in the season, I believe. A 12-second lead over Waynesburg, PA's Alex Teagarden on the 309. Those guys have battled for top amateur positions as we're watching Caleb Russell now on the moto track, racking up lap number 4 right now. Evan Earl is fourth aboard the number 58 out of Blacksburg, South Carolina. Ryan Slopko, the 215 out of Londonderry, Ohio, rounds out the top 5 in the 200A class. There is Caleb Russell in now as he completes lap number 4, lap time 30 minutes and 1 second. He's back up to speed to where we saw him there on that first lap of racing. And looking at the way things are starting to break down, I'm beginning to wonder, has Josh Strang and quite possibly the number 7 of Ashburn, are they tightened back up and are they closing up on Caleb Russell? Let's go and check that out. The gap now 22 seconds. Yes, we had a 40 or 50 second lead last time around. Here's the gap, but actually it's not closed up as much. Maybe the gap wasn't as big as I thought it was because we've only see about 7 seconds that were gained there, maybe 8 by Josh Strang on Caleb Russell, a 30.01 to a 29.53. So yeah, a little bit closer, but not a whole lot closer. But with the last hour of racing, and with that being said, out on that moto track, you know, he's starting to get glimpses of Caleb Russell, and that's that inspiration sometimes those guys need, that little bit of extra edge to pull them and push them a little bit further. And Josh Strang right now is going to need all the inspiration he can get heading into this third and final hour of racing. And once he's got sight on him, maybe he's going to bead block him and start putting on the heat seekers. And you never know, Josh Strang should start or could start closing in and challenging Caleb Russell here. And hey, you never know, maybe even challenge him for the win by the checker flag here at his own family farm. Remember, Josh Strang, though he's never won here, has always had some good successes here. And Josh says that he hasn't been on the bike a lot in the last couple weeks due to illness, but I think that maybe that little bit of rest might come in handy here in this last hour. We'll just have to wait and see. Ashburn now, actually Duval now, 12 seconds behind Josh Strang. Whoa, that's getting pretty good. 30.07 for him, a 30.49 for looks like Jordan Ashburn, who is now 17 seconds back of Thad Duval. Thad is a minute and 12. I said 12. That's a minute and 12 seconds. I thought the gap seemed a little longer than that. But that is a minute and 12 seconds behind Josh Strang. So Josh has got the comfort zone back there, and he's got the ability to push. So this last hour is going to get pretty interesting as far as this XC1 Pro Class is concerned. As we told you, Ashburn has checked in. A 30.49 lap time for him, and that's our top four. Still waiting on Ricky Russell, who is a minute and 18 seconds back of the fourth place ride at the end of lap number 3. We'll come back to that in just a moment. I want to wrap up the rest of our midway report here for you as we were looking, I believe, next at 4-stroke A lights, if I'm not mistaken. Tristan Landerman and Braxton McGee, 2 minutes and 2 seconds separating the two. 7:04 of Nelsonville, Ohio's Landerman is leading. Braxton McGee out of Bullville, North Carolina on the 33 to 95 of Tyler Braniff. There is Thad Duval. No, that's not Thad. I thought that was Thad coming in. I just glanced at the TV screen. 95, Tyler Braniff is out of Terre Alton, West Virginia in third. Hunter Shelton out of Hartford, Tennessee, the 35 in fourth. Dustin Simpson out of Mount Pleasant, North Carolina rounds out your top 5. As we go next to, looks like Kobe Beckert having some problems. He was up front earlier on. Junior AB 25 plus class. Oh, looky here. Lucas Towery, the son of our official start man and finish line flagger, who has for the bigger part of the last 5 or 6 years raced Sportsman A class, out here in the Junior AB class today, leading out of Lattimore, North Carolina over Mount Clair, West Virginia's Joseph McCarty, the 426, only a 1.5 second lead. But he did that by passing. He's got about, I would say somewhere in the neighborhood of about a 45-second faster lap time than what McCarty did. So this is going to get interesting, possibly to see if Towery can stretch that out a little bit more. Edward Barth, the 376 out of North Canton, Ohio, is third. Fourth place, Clint Masters, the 339 out of Morgantown, West Virginia. And fifth place, the 718 of Eric Breitmeyer from Walker, West Virginia, in the Junior AB 25 plus class there for you folks. Next class we take a look at, the Vet A 30 plus. Our vets is the 39 of Joe Marsh out of Pittsburgh. I know it's Pittsburgh, but leading about 2 minutes and 5 seconds over Chad Tallman, the 184 from East Palestine, Ohio. There's Caleb Russell at the 2 mile marker now as we approach the FMF PowerPoint at the 2 hour and 5 minute mark now. Chad Tallman is second in the Vet A class. Jesse Arsenal, the third place rider out of Coventry, Connecticut. Manhattan, New York's Big Jim Steiner, 75, who's like 45 years old in the Vet A class, is running in fourth. And Ryan Inman in the number 5 spot out of Morgantown, West Virginia. And the Senior A class, Billy Schlag leading Mark McGrath. There's 2 minutes, 59 seconds between the two. Call it 3 minutes. Mechanicsville, Ohio's home to Billy Schlag. In Wadsworth, Ohio, actually Mechanicsville, Maryland to Schlag. In Ohio to McGrath. Shotgun Sean Remington, who looked like he was going to grab an early lead, holding steadily in third, about 3 minutes back now with 3 laps down on the number 60. We're looking for Patrick Tobin in fourth aboard the 400 and 988 of Jeff Husted in the 5th place position. That's a look at your rides at the midway point of this John Penton GNCC right now as we go back up front to check in with our leaders. Russell, Strang, Duval, Ashburn, and Ricky Russell, rough and rowdy himself, the 212, rounding out the top 5. That's all the riders so far that have checked in with 4 laps complete. We should be seeing Lane Michael check in here rather soon, as we just saw him go through the pits on the 523. And a second place battle. Look how close the second and third place positions are right now as Michael Witkowski still holds on to that position, but Craig DeLong has reeled him back up, friends, and he is all over the rear wheel of the number 2 ride right now. So we've got a barn burner about to be set ablaze out here in this second place. And there's Nick Davis. I believe Davis may be catching up to him now. Let's check in with that XC2 Pro Light, see where he was a lap ago. I think he was all the way back in 5th, so he's gotten around Vance Francis and made up some major time. There was like 2 minutes that separated those guys. So if that was Nick Davis, he's really on rails out there. It'll be interesting to see what kind of lap times he's able to post out there as we're watching the moto track. And also the looks like out near the 4, I guess. I think we've seen 2-mile marker, I guess that was. Sorry about that. But so here's the finish line and the 2-mile marker down in the bottom right corner of this. Lane Michael checking in. Lane Michael is seeing all the fruits of the labor finally coming to pass out here. And I'll tell you, it couldn't have come at a better time, because knowing Lane and his mindset, he was starting to get very frustrated and very disappointed and down on himself and his career. And the enlightenment that he is seeing right now from these strong rides that we are witnessing here in 2016 are obviously elevating him to an all-new level of performance here. And I think we're going to see nothing but that continue to climb. He has a 20-second lead still over Michael Witkowski. 31:32 lap time for Lane Michael, 20-second lead with a 31:24. Now, both riders actually in second and third turned a little bit faster, about 8 seconds faster by Witkowski, and only a couple of seconds faster there by Craig DeLong. The gap between those two, 3.8 seconds. So, though Lane Michael is out front and he looks comfortable, he's not out of the woods yet, so to speak, as far as this win is concerned, because Witkowski, who's kind of fresh out of North Liberty, Indiana. He's not got the race as much as he wanted to this season because of some injury and stuff, but he's back at it now. He's at it with full force. And Witkowski was also hurt last season. He had collarbone issues, so this year is finally starting to be a fruitful year for his labors as well. Craig DeLong is starting to see that these top youth riders that we saw work through the ranks a few years ago, Lane Michael and even more recently Michael Witkowski, are some big forces to be reckoned with out here once they start making the upper echelons of this racing. But there's Caleb Russell now out near this 4-mile marker. We're going to call about the 3.8, 3.9 right there, so we'll see him back again in just a moment. But folks, I'm telling you, it's going to be exciting to see. Let's see, it was that Davis. It was. Nick Davis is checked in. Look at this. Now 10.9 seconds. Listen to the lap time. 29 minutes, 24 seconds. That has to be the fastest lap of the day. Turned on lap number 4 by Nick Davis. He found, we were talking about wormholes out there at the beginning of the season with Daniel Milner and being able to find some warp speed out there. Well, I think that's what Nick has done, man. He has found the throttle, and he found it deep out there as he has made up about 2 minutes worth of time, believe it or not, over the rest of the field. Now, Vance Francis will be waiting for him to check in. So, amazing ride, 29 and 24 for Nick Davis. I'm going to go back and look at these lap times after this race to see if that's the case. But, wow, Nick is on rails right now. And he could be a force to be reckoned with for a podium spot for DeLong and Witkowski. He could even play spoiler with a lap time like that and steal the win away from Lane Michael. So not does now Lane Michael have to be worried so much about Mike Witkowski and Craig Long, but he's got to also add into this factor Nick Davis could become a player on it as well. Wow, what an exciting turn of events starting to shape up here in the XC2 Pro Lights class. All the while, excitement still abounding in the XC1 Pro class as we'll look at this class structure, the way it sits right now. Russell Strang, Duvall, Ashburn, Ricky Russell, your top 5. We know that 6th in the class is Stu Baylor. Russell Bobbitt is 7th in class. Corey Puttrick is 8th. Grant Baylor is 9th. And Scotty Grills rounds out the top 10. Believe it or not, Chris Bach is 11th in class, and should and could be able to make it up into a top 10 and maybe even, depending on how well Baylor is able to rebound in this last hour. Traditionally, he does well and has done well in that last hour right here at John Penton, but he says fitness is not as strong as it has been in the past, so we may be about to witness some big things happening there in the class structure for the number 4 of Chris, or the number 4 of Chris Bach there. But nonetheless, we are waiting to see just exactly where he's going to be translating that out into the overall right now. Let's go ahead and scan down through. Right now, Bach is still only 23rd overall, but remember, he hasn't checked in for lap 4 totally complete yet, so he's moved up through the pack a little bit, and we may see that. Josh Strang checking in 32 seconds behind Caleb Russell now here at the mile marker 4.2. So we are seeing that that gap may have opened up just a little bit. 22 seconds is what it was before, so I think, if I'm not mistaken, we were looking at a little bit more than that. But regardless, these sections of the track, and when the John Penton section comes up here shortly, then we may see something shape up. Here's the battle. Well, here's the leader of the XC2 Pro Lights class, Lane Michael, and about 22 seconds behind him, or maybe even closer, we may be getting ready to see the battle for the second and third place position of Witkowski and the boys. Trevor Bollinger, by the way, is about 2 miles behind the battle up front in that XC2 Pro Lights. Oh, here at the 2 mile marker, Craig DeLong appears to have gotten back around Michael Witkowski as our camera spans back to try to see exactly where that former second, now looks like third place ride with several seconds lost, Witkowski is at the FMF PowerPoint. Now, he's still solid in third, but man, what a big gap has opened up there. But again, there's another ride and battle in positions that we've seen open up and then close back up about as quickly as it opens. Again, a little bobble here, a little mishap there, get behind a lapped rider. 20-30 seconds is nothing really surprising to see made up by riders or lost by riders on a lap-by-lap basis. Johnny Gallagher making his way back in, and this will give me an opportunity to get some of this wonderful ice cream on this hot, hot day. We're going to get you some, Price. We're going to head on over there in just a second to get some. But, yeah, I do want to send a shout-out to the FFA Cafe, the Future Farmers of America here in Athens County. It's actually the Federal Hawking FFA alumni, one of the strongest in the state. And they do a concession stand here every year. And it's all run by the alumni. And it's voted hands down in the GNCC Racing Nation, the best concession stand across the board. And we just want to salute those guys because the FFA, the Future for America, is right there with those folks. There's no doubt about it. And the alumni that keeps coming back to help out and help make those proceeds, every bit of the proceeds go back to the FFA, and I think that's awesome. So we salute them and thank them for the ice cream today. Johnny, we've seen some pretty interesting things unfolding here. I know you've been spending some time out doing some pit boards, so you've actually got some bird's eye view and trackside scope out what's going on. So what are you seeing out there?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, as my voice is kind of gone, trying to encourage my buddy Chris Bach to get up there and fight for those overall positions. Looks like he's worked his way now up into, well, hard to see, he's now up into 18th overall. He was 23rd last lap, so he's made up quite a few spots there. Looks like it's realistic for him to just work his way up possibly as far as maybe 12, 13 overall. So, you know, he's fighting hard trying to gain those positions. Another rider that we've seen really put in a charge is Nick Davis. He's actually currently running in the 4th place spot in that XC2 Pro Lights class. And I got to say, I was over near the mulch pile coming, and it was Lane Michael leading the way. About 20 seconds back, it was our 2nd place rider of Mike Witkowski, then Craig DeLong. And then this blue blur came by, and Nick Davis, Rodney, was absolutely a man on a mission. I've never seen anything like it. We've seen Nick have his early season struggles. Obviously, he broke through with the podium ride in South Carolina in the muddy conditions. Today, it's not muddy. I mean, there are muddy sections, but he is absolutely on a tear.
He is. I don't know if you noted the lap time that we're talking about there for that XC2 now 4th place ride, but check this out. He's now 10.9 seconds out of the 3rd place position according to scoring and timing. Jesse Grum, 4 minutes behind him now. But you got to take into account he was about 2 minutes, 12 seconds. Well, the rider ahead of him was 2 minutes and 12 seconds. Vance Francis behind the 3rd place ride. He made up about 10 seconds on them and pulled to within 11 seconds of the top 3. The lap time, I think, is probably the fastest of the day at a 29:24 in amongst these conditions and these riders, I mean, that's pretty impressive, Johnny Gallagher.
Well, I got to tell you, I don't know what happened to Nick Davis that lap, but, and there we see our XC2 Pro Lights leader. There is Lane Michael leading the way. Soon next we should be seeing that trio, I think, when we next see him. There is Craig DeLong now taking over the number 2 spot, and he is quite a bit closer to our first place rider of Lane Michael. DeLong, you could see he took a pause there and made the decision that he did not want to follow the lapper, took an alternate line, and it looks like he's pulled a gap now to Mike Witkowski, who was in the second place ride. Now there's Witkowski, now third, and next we should be seeing the 527 of Nick Davis, but looks like Witkowski might have had a crash there. We see that there is Nick Davis, the 527 machine, and he's working his way through the creek there and up, and I got to tell you, Rodney, you know, it's easy to look at those lap times and say, wow, that's a really quick lap. But when you see him actually riding, the aggression was next level. I don't even really quite know how to explain it, except it was like someone had uncorked a bottle of champagne and they were trying to put the cork back in as it was spraying, is what Nick Davis looked like riding that Impro Yamaha out there, just absolutely holding it wide open and charging. Here we see the rider on the charge, another rider on the charge in our XC2 Pro Lights class, Trevor Bollinger. This guy today is in point salvage mode. He's got our points lead. He has worked his way up to the 7th place spot, and he's trying to close in. It looks like he is 42 seconds behind Benjamin Kelly. So that looks like it's probably going to be about as far. Oh, no, actually, Jesse Grom there also only 1 second ahead of Benjamin Kelly. And then it's a 4-minute gap to Nick Davis. So if perhaps they can get it all the way up to, if Trevor Bollinger is able to close that gap, get up to Grom and Kelly, and get into that 5th place spot, it would be hard to imagine that he would be able to close 4 minutes on that lead quartet that we now have.
I tell you, there's some big surprises. I mean, there's a lot of things. I mean, and that's one thing about this track. It lends itself to big things to happen like that, pretty unexpected things. Like we said, you know, that 2 miles of John Penton section probably has a lot to do with that. And even Charlie, I mean, it's funny, you know, we talk about it from a spectator standpoint, an announcer standpoint. We talk about it all the John Penton section, you know. Unless you've really been through there, I don't think that people can really understand what the conditions are like. I mean, not only are they tight, but you heard what Charlie was talking about. The air doesn't move out there. The heat just holds in those trees, and it's really hard to breathe. So there's a lot of elements, not only tight trees and roots and rough conditions that you got to manipulate through, but you got to be able to keep your wits about you under some duress, I would almost have to tend to think.
Yeah, it's difficult out there, and especially this race late in the race, as we're 2 hours and 20 minutes into this one. There we see Witkowski, and hot on his rear wheels is Nick Davis. It looks like Craig DeLong, again, has pulled out a bit of a gap over those two and is starting to reel in the 523 machine of Lane Michael. That gap was 20 seconds, and now it appears to be slightly less than that. So that we might see 2 different battles shaping up there, or perhaps one battle with 4 riders all going for the top spot, as we should be seeing a white flag here in about, looks like they're doing it in about 23 minutes. I'm sorry, 19 minutes.
That's for the XC2 Pro Lights guys. For the Caleb Russell out front, we're about 11 minutes out from what we expect to be Caleb Russell coming in for lap number 5 complete here, Johnny. And that will be the first time we see that. But, you know, it's kind of neat. And amazing, really. These guys start out only a minute apart on the starting line, but how far apart they end up at the end of 3 hours between those two classes. But still, after time adjustments, they're still in contention there in the top 10 and top 20. Pretty amazing. We'll elaborate on that a whole lot more. We'll see whether or not Caleb Russell can hang on to it and make it another win here at his family farm. Stick around. GNCC Live continues after this.
When it comes to protecting your engine, AMSOIL offers the next level performance truck owners demand. AMSOIL provides 75% more engine protection against horsepower loss and wear than required by a leading industry standard, extending the life of pistons and cams. Give the vehicle you love the above and beyond fortification it deserves. AMSOIL, devoted to protection.
Maxxis Tires.
Here at Rocky Mountain ATV MC, our goal has always been to get you the best price and provide quality service. Now, we're giving you one more reason to shop with Rocky Mountain. We call it Quick Cash. It's simple to get. Just place an order with a qualifying Quick Cash item and get cash to spend on your next order. Try it out today. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
The Andersons discovered life is easier with an Outlaw RV. The Outlaw is a complete home on wheels with a multifunctional garage. Getting on the road has never been quicker. The Outlaw is made to fit the lifestyle of today's active families. So stop roughing it and start enjoying your weekends. Find the Thor Motor Coach Outlaw that fits your needs at GarageRVs.com today.
I'm a sore loser.
I'm a sore loser. Losing is not an option for me.
Be the best.
The best? The best. You have to have the best equipment under the hood. That's why I only use
Cometic products in my engines.
Cometic gasket. Cometic gasket. Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket, a superior quality gasket
For those of us who demand the highest level of performance.
Welcome back to GNCC Live as we invite you to come play with us at Snowshoe. And we want you to come play golf with us as we have the 3rd annual ISDE Trophy Team Fundraiser. It's going to be taking place at the Raven Golf Club on Friday, June 24th there at Snowshoe Mountain. The unique tournament will assist the team's efforts to represent USA at the 2016 running of the ISDE in Navarre, Spain. This golf tournament starts about 9 in the morning. It'll run about 3:30. Teams are, well, individuals are $100 per person. You can come with a team of 4, or if you come as an individual, you'll be placed on a team, or if you need a team member, we'll place one on your team. But the cost of $100 includes a meal at the end of the round of golf, and all proceeds of the event will go directly to the USA ISDE team to help fund the transportation of all the athletes to this prestigious event. If you have any questions about the event or would like to learn how to donate to the team, please contact events@ktmusa.com. You can email them there. And here we are, smack dab in the last hour of the Wiseco John Penton GNCC. And, you know, each race so far this year has offered up so many different challenges. You know, we talked about the inconsistencies of what we expected when we came in here each and every time. And, you know, I don't know if people really knew what to expect this time of year coming into the John Penton. We knew that there was a lot of rain in the spring and stuff, but we also know that after a couple days things can dry out. But, you know, it was really a gamble. You really didn't know, to roll the dice, so to speak, if you were trying to prepare coming into this weekend.
Well, one thing we knew for sure after we raced here July 4th weekend or maybe it was a weekend actually after July 4th in 2012, I think the consensus decision after that weekend was we're never coming here in July again, or even June for that matter, because, you know, this place, as one of the JCR guys, Ben Weathers, said, you know, hey, just so you know, there's a hole in the ozone layer, and it's not over Millfield, and it's not over Southern Ohio. It's specifically over Sunday Creek Raceway, only when the GNCC's in town, because, man, have we seen some gnarly ones here. We have seen, you know, just absolute downpours out of clear blue skies. We have seen 100-plus degree temperatures here in 2012. Obviously, this year, with the temperatures being, you know, in the very, very high 80s, I mean, that's somewhat unheard of in May. You know,
yeah, especially when last week we were looking at 50s and 60s for highs.
You know, Rodney, I'm from Ohio. I'm proud to be from Ohio, but I'm so over Ohio weather this year. It's absolutely ridiculous. You know, spending the winter in Florida, thinking it was a great idea to come back mid-March, you know, get some training in, and it's like I might as well have just parked my four-wheeler, parked my road bike, park my mountain bike and just run in circles in my house, because that's about all you can do. You know, we've had rain, we've had cold. I think last week, one day it was, you know, jeans and hoodie weather all day long, never got above 50 degrees, like you said. And then here we are today, and you see people out there with, you know, cold, wet towels wrapped around their heads trying to stay cool. So, you know, you love Ohio, but sometimes that bipolar weather can just drive you nuts.
Yeah, and you got to wonder, I mean, a lot of the riders do come from around this area, West Virginia, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Kentucky, and we're all kind of experiencing, I think, the same kind of conditions right now. You got to wonder, because a lot of folks did spend time down in Florida and down south, you got to wonder if that has affected the training regimen, if it is affecting maybe the way the outcomes of these races are actually transpiring out here.
Well, one thing, you know, and I'm not exactly sure. Well, I think he posted it on his social media, so I don't think it's any kind of a big secret. Caleb Russell actually spent 2 weeks down in, or 2 days down in Florida this week because he could not ride in North Carolina. It was too wet. He said it was futile, didn't even bother trying, loaded up, headed to his facility in North Carolina or in Florida for 2 days of riding this week.
Wow. Hey, we got an update from the Mouse House. What's going on at the Mouse House in this XC2 Pro Lights class?
I still haven't seen Nick Davis come through yet.
Oh, wow. What mile marker is that, Jacob?
Not actually counted in the mile markers, but it's about halfway through the Penton section.
And can you give us those leaders one more time? Talk about that. I kind of walked on you a little bit. All right, so the rest of that I can tell that radio reception is turning pretty bad there real fast.
Not only does the air not move in the Penton section, neither do electronic waves for radios.
Lane Michael and Craig DeLong wheel to wheel. Mike Witkowski about 10 seconds behind right now. Johnny Gallagher was the update that we got from him. So, wow, that's what I told you, and you said it too. Lane's definitely not out of the woods on this one. And, you know, when he was maintaining that 20, 40-second gap lead, you know, it looked like things were going to be okay, but we also pointed to the fact that this could be happening here in this third and final hour, and that's exactly what has transpired.
Yeah, absolutely, Rodney. You know, and as that gap tightens up and as that battle tightens up, it really throws, you know, more urgency into the charge of Trevor Bollinger as he works his way up through the pack, because I believe, I don't have the points in front of me, but I believe those riders, Craig DeLong and Lane Michael, are fairly close there to Trevor Bollinger in those points within that XC2 class. So that's you know, as he battles for that championship, as those guys are battling over the win, you know, the way those points pay, it's quite an advantage to win. You get quite a points bonus over second, third, fourth, even fifth place finish. And although Bollinger is really maintaining a good pace here and chipping away at the points he would be otherwise losing today, you know, again, if whichever one of those guys maximizes their efforts for today with that win, you know, they're going to be chipping away at that points gap.
I tell you, very impressive for Bollinger. Like I said earlier, that's what we talked about in the pre-race interview, was just maintaining composure and scoring solid rides for the week or for the day.
Caleb Russell checks in. White flag is out and waving. So we're 5 laps complete, heading out on to 5 laps complete, heading out on lap number 6, or are we heading out on lap number 5?
29:40. Things are starting to speed up here, Johnny. Traditionally, sometimes we see it start to slow down in the latter portions of the race, but here right now, 29:40 for Caleb Russell. Josh Strang, who's 22 seconds behind. The last lap around turned to 29:53, but he has not checked in. Well, there he is. He's coming in now, and it looks like that gap is starting to open up a little bit, and that lap time that Caleb Russell turned that time is very reflective of that, as Josh is riding a very smooth and solid race back there to the number 2 spot. And one thing I wanted to point out there a few moments ago, last lap, Chandler Russell making her way up the hill. She's about wore out today, I think, running all over this place. But here comes into the finish line Josh Strang right now. But what I was going to say about Caleb Russell, was talking with him on Friday night. We were kind of hanging out here, and he was telling me that, you know, the GNCC is the only series that he's dedicated here in 2016. And he's getting to do the things that he's always wanted to do. He has no other obligations, so he's getting to go ride places and do special one-off events or go do this or go do that, things that he's never really had a chance to do in recent years, so he's getting a chance to do that. One of the things that he's going to do this year is he's going to be racing some more motocross. We know he's done that before, but he spoke about racing about, I think, 3 or 4 motocross events during the summer break. Redbud, Southwick, and a couple more I think he talked about racing. So, you know, this little glimpse that we're seeing of him on this Sunday Creek Raceway motocross, you might, if you watch some Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Championship racing this summer, might get to see OKR out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Another rider that we've seen do some motocross racing in the past, this guy right here, the number 5 of Thad Duvall, knows his way around a motocross track pretty well. But yeah, and speaking with Caleb, I think his plan is to ride 4, time and conditions permitting this year. So, and I don't know if I was away, but so Duvall taking over the 3rd place spot.
Yep.
And now we see he's pulled quite a gap on Jordan Ashburn, who is in the VP Fuels Pro Row right now. And we'll see him out on this Sunday Creek motocross track here in about 10 seconds. So Duvall really putting in a charge. Wait a minute, is that? No, that's not Ricky Russell. I thought we might have seen Ricky Russell. I was going to say, wow, that was a heck of a charge for Russell to get up there. But Russell's still running solidly in that 5th place spot, and really a shout out to him. Top 5 overall, not only in the XC1 Pro class, but also in that overall position. This would certainly be a breakthrough ride for Ricky if he can hold this one all the way to the finish today. And we're watching these charges through the pack. We've got guys like Nick Davis, who at last report had not made his way through the Penton section. So that would be obviously a disappointment after putting in such a charge if he did have an issue. But perhaps maybe he just was a little behind schedule. Obviously, when you're pushing that hard, it's easy to find yourself on the ground. By the time you pick yourself up, you lose a little time. Nonetheless, impressive charge for Nick Davis there. And also impressive charge for Craig DeLong. You know, it kind of seemed, as you had said, it looked like maybe Lane Michael had this one in hand. Those guys made a run at him. He was able to kind of manage that gap and keep it right at about 20 seconds. And then all of a sudden, DeLong, we haven't seen it on screen yet, but we've heard wheel to wheel. And, this guy right here, even though he is currently off of the podium, still 4th place, an awesome ride. And he's a rider that we've seen, really, really turn it up these last few races, battling with Caleb Russell, battling with Josh Strang, battling with Thad Duvall. 4th at our last race, 4th here today with 1 lap to go. Jordan Ashburn really turning in some strong rides, and then 2nd the race before that down at Camp Coker in South Carolina. So strong rides here as we reach the middle of the season and slightly past that for Jordan Ashburn.
Look at these gaps. I mean, this is something we haven't seen. I mean, this almost is kind of surprising and shocking, especially with what we saw just 2 weeks ago with the battle. But Caleb Russell and Josh Strang, the gap, 1 minute 13 seconds. The gap between 2nd and 3rd of Strang and Duvall, 1 minute and 5 seconds. The gap between 3rd and 4th, back to Ashburn and Duvall there between those two, 1 minute and 31 seconds. What's going on?
Caleb
Russell just stalled it out or something out there. I don't know what happened. I don't think his bike just died. I think he actually stalled it. So if it died, I don't think it would have started as quickly and as easily. But a little bit of a scary moment for those Caleb Russell fans if you just happen to look up like we did there, Johnny, and see he was struggling there.
Well, we catch that on screen, but it looks like that was a planned water bottle handoff. Possibly Caleb, when you take your hand off the clutch coming out of the corner to reach for that water bottle, possibly just fumbled a little bit, maybe blipped the throttle of that bike, coughed out for a second, or he fumbled.
I recognize this hill right here now, guys.
That's the FMF PowerPoint.
Yeah, I reckon. I helped reclaim this course one year, and I helped reclaim that hill. That is a monster of a hill. I mean, I know, we've got bigger, steeper hills, but that's a pretty gnarly hill out there. And that's where Mrs. Russell was going when she came by the TV.
She had that water bottle we just saw with the straw in her hand and one for herself. And she said, last time, guys, last time. She's climbed that hill who knows how many times today. And now we see Jordan Ashburn's girlfriend, fiance. I'm not sure. We'd have to check in on the status of that. But here we see Ricky Russell on the moto track. And Russell still in that 5th place spot. I don't know if he's still 5th overall. We'll have to see how that works out with Lane Michael and Craig DeLong pushing hard there for that XC2 battle. Now we see Strang at the 2-mile marker. Man, these guys are they're charging hard so late in the race. And, you mentioned the gaps and how they're opening up to minute gaps, minute and a half gaps. I really think that's a product of the conditions and the heat, Rodney.
I think you're absolutely right, honestly, about that. One rider that surprises me, though, I have to admit, in the heat is Ricky Russell. You know, I would think he's obviously, you know, we talk about him being a Washington native and stuff, but we got to remember he's been out here about 4 or 5 years or so in the East Coast, and like Johnny Gallagher says, he's fit. He is very physically fit, and he's working with that MCS Obermeyer crew. His a Midwestern team, and they now are obviously in the heart of, you know, these types of conditions. So he, I think, is maybe becoming that's about accustomed to him as what one quite possibly could. 2 hours and 37 minutes now into this race as we check in. Still Russell, Strang, Duvall, Ashburn, and Ricky Russell, rough and rowdy, and we wait for the XC2 Pro Lights battle, and it should be coming into our Pro Pit section here in just a moment, so we'll be seeing that on screen. And they come. Here they come, folks. Look at them coming. They are really heating up here. There's probably about 5 or 6 bike links that separate them physically on the racetrack, but you know as well as I do, and that just closed up quite a bit as there was a water bottle handoff there for the leader of Lane Michael, and he nearly gets closed up on DeLong, trying to inch himself up there and put some pressure on and maybe try to make that pass. But we got these two Husqvarnas going at it right now, my friends, and if I'm not mistaken, are they not teammates on the Coastal Racing team? So excitement still rolling through in the XC2 Pro Lights class, and though we may not have this nose-to-tail quite tight battling in the XC1 class today, we are certainly being afforded a show for the XC2 Pro Lights class now as they make their way onto the moto track right now, working their way through some of that lap traffic and trying to maintain their positions. Lane Michaels and also Craig DeLong running 1 and 2 out here, wrapping up lap number 5 as we approach the finish line of the white flag, heading into their final lap of racing. Lane, look at that. Oh, triple there. Big triple. And that's going to be a separator on the moto track, but quickly, Craig DeLong gets the power back to the ground, and he goes charging in on that turn. Shows that front wheel to Michael, but nothing seeming to upset the 523 at the moment. But here we come into the finish line region now. We got about 10 miles and about 30 minutes of some pretty intense stuff about to unfold here, as technically they check in the number 5 and 6 spot. Craig DeLong actually ahead of Lane Michael, according to this. So wow, man, this is amazing. Just exactly how tight and how these guys are swapping, are tightened it back up, and Craig DeLong is in this position to take this win like this. I think timing and scoring may be noting that Michael is in 7th or 2nd place there, but correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's Lane out front in this battle. Am I wrong or right? Looks a little taller and lankier back there, but I can't see the numbers either. But regardless, it doesn't matter at this point which one's first, which one's second. What's going to matter is when they come through that finish line, which one's first and which one's second, and we'll know more about that according to timing and scoring in about 31 and a half minutes for those riders. Russell is due in after a 29:49 lap time. He's due in about 20 minutes, so we should be seeing the checker flag fly for those guys here shortly. But wow, what a day. If we take a recap on this, Caleb Russell going through the 4-mile marker a few moments ago, and there now is Josh Strang about a minute and 15 seconds or so back behind. Those of you watching know we didn't see Caleb come through because we were covering the battle that was going on for the number 1 and 2 spot of Craig DeLong and Lane Michael, and there his timing and scoring is adjusted now. They do have Lane Michael in the number 1 spot, so that I was correct. I was getting a little confused. Sometimes I let those computers do that to me. But here we are. Is that Ricky Russell, I believe, out here at the 2-mile marker now as he motors his way up the FMF PowerPoint. Again, I think we're about to see, he's on the cusp, the verge of something about to take place. And again, we were talking about the solid ground from which he's working from. He's got a good solid program. He's had some good solid programs all along. Being able to step back to the XC2 Pro Lights class and then come back and re-debut in the XC1 Pro class. I think was a great move on his part. And we're going to see that steady improvement, I think, out of the 212 as time moves on here. Talk about some top amateur racing now. We were talking 4-stroke 8 lights and 258 class riders a little bit ago. Right now, as we check in with 4 laps complete, it is 4-stroke 8 lights class leader Tristan Landrum running 21st overall now. He has, it looks like, in his sights, the Open A win and the top amateur. But remember a little bit ago I said we have one rider that is probably as fast or could be as fast as anyone in the nation or even the world, but elects and chooses to race around here in Ohio. I'm talking about Canal Winchester, Ohio, Zach Clamphett, the 524 Open A rider. He's checked in a 24th place position. That puts him 4 positions down behind Tristan Landrum from that overall amateur. But we look at the time adjustments. He's only a little more than a minute or so behind on time adjustments and lap times. This is going to tell the tale of the tape here. 33:30 for Tristan Landrum, and Clamphett's lap time, a 34-minute lap time last time around. So according to that, Clamphett will likely not get top amateur award, but maybe this will be some inspiration that we'll get a chance to see him out here at the national level on a little more consistent basis, because if there is ever anybody that deserved and needed to be racing on a national level on a week-to-week basis, well, it's that rider right there, and we really hope to see that he gets that bug and that bite of the GNCC Racing Nation. So he's running 24th right now. Let's go back up here to the top of the order where we are waiting on Caleb Russell to check in with us, and as we update, we had just under 20 minutes. We're now just over 16 minutes before these leaders are due in. Continuing to watch down here by the Rocky Mountain ATVMC Creek, the Rocky River. Regardless of what we call it, it has certainly met its certainly has been some chance. Here we got an XC2 new leader now out here at the 2 mile marker as we approach the FMF PowerPoint, and it is Craig DeLong on the number 11. Not far off pace behind him is the 523, the 523 of Lane Michael, but Craig DeLong is obviously on a mission right now to try and separate himself from that second place ride of Lane Michael. And you know it's got to be a heartbreaker to think from Lane Michael's perspective right now, with about 8 miles of racing left to go and leading virtually the entire race day up to this point. What a heartbreaker that's got to be for him. But you got to also ultimately realize is that he is well within striking distance, and he trains with Caleb Russell, so I think he's got plenty of gas left in the tank. It's just a matter of pulling the triggers at the right places and the right times, and we may see Lane Michael still pull this out. But otherwise, Craig DeLong has moved into position to make it happen. Mike Witkowski's checked in behind him, guys. We saw him there just a few seconds back. Probably still about 15, 20 seconds off the pace of Michael and DeLong's ride right there, but Witkowski is still a top 3 rider. These riders have elevated themselves into the 6th, 7th, and 8th place positions. The big question right now is, what about Nick Davis? He was checking in there a little bit ago, 28 seconds behind. He had reeled into within 12 seconds at one point. So now Nick Davis has dropped back. Lap time for him, a 31:51. Remember, he had that 29:24, so I'm sure there was a lot of energy that was expelled on lap number 4. Lap number 4, and lap number 5 was probably a lap that he had to do a little bit of regaining composure and his wits about himself after the devilish push that he put on out there. But one lap to rest, and maybe he'll go back at it again, and the fever pitch will raise. And we'll continue to watch and see whether or not Nick Davis is able to make that gap back up as we saw him do it earlier. 2 hours and 46 minutes into this race. 13 minutes, 49 seconds is when we are expecting to see the checker flag fly, and that will be right at the 3-hour mark, just under, I believe, the 3-hour mark. And that will be certainly 3 hours of minutes that were all felt, 180 minutes of racing, or nearly 180 minutes of racing that was felt or will be felt by each one of these riders. I will point out the fact we talked about the humidity and how hot it was and is. It does feel like it has started to actually cool down a little bit. The clouds are starting to thicken up, and I believe the humidity is starting to drop, and it feels like almost a low pressure system is starting to move in. And I just got the word from our producer that there is a storm cell over just to our east in Parkersburg, West Virginia, that is moving this way. And if that's the case, if it doesn't make a turn or go a little south or a little north of us, we may end up seeing some rain showers, if not during this race, certainly toward the end of it. And you can feel those temperatures starting to drop out there, so you know that the possibility of inclement weather is certainly on the horizon, and that low pressure system is moving through right now. So what a big change as far as the temperatures are concerned. And this might be that little bit of oomph, that refreshing moment that some of these riders are going to need to finish in these hot, dusty conditions, at least the dusty conditions on the moto track, and those hard and rugged conditions out in the woods where the air is so stale and so thick. Maybe these cooler temperatures and the light breeze that we're feeling is actually starting to work its way through the woods as well. And these riders, we might see some new life. We might see even more changes than we anticipate by the time the checker flag comes out here at this 27th running of the Weisco John Penton GNCC. Here's our XC2 riders coming in on us again at the 4-mile marker. That is Craig DeLong. He is riding with some aggression right now. Lane Michael has actually, he's gotten gained about, actually stretched out 8 seconds to what looks to be about 11 or 12 now, I think, over Lane Michael. So Lane Michael and Mike Witkowski could be closing the gap up on Lane Michael right now. And if that's the case, that might be the saving grace for Lane Michael and pushing him back up to challenging Craig DeLong. But right now, if you watched and if you're paying attention to the race at home, it didn't look like that Lane Michael was really being very aggressive coming through that section. Maybe he was trying to save from splashing water up on the bike or something like that. Maybe he is starting to deteriorate from the heat and things that he had to push through today. But the aggression level wasn't so much there for Lane Michael, at least at this juncture. We might be seeing, with about probably 15 minutes before those guys will be in, we might be seeing him just a slight rest before a hard push. Now remember, Craig DeLong started pushing a while back. He's been pushing for a while, and now that he's gotten out front, it appears as though he's pushing even harder. And we know that Craig DeLong is more than capable of that. We've seen him rise from the ashes, so to speak, over the course of a race on more than one occasion. And he's another one of those riders that appears to get stronger as the day goes on. But we'll see whether or not Lane Michael's got something up his sleeve. And even if he doesn't, what we witnessed out of Lane Michael here today was certainly some major steps forward in his abilities. And it is going to take him that much closer to being quite possibly the one to beat in this XC2 Pro Lights class. And for anybody that counted Lane Michael out coming into this season, I guess that he didn't realize the hunger, the heart, and the desire that kid packs around with him, and what he's been doing since he was just a small child here in the GNCC Racing Nation. Though we've not seen a lot of great things out of him, big things, not going to say great things because he does some great things, but we haven't seen those big things out of him so far as he's made his way into the XC2 Pro Lights class. Well, he has, and starting to more and more now, but we're going to see more and more of him, I believe. 14 right there, so we got the clock on it right now. There's 10, 12, 4, 16, 17 seconds. 17 seconds separating the two, and as I was talking there a moment ago and mentioning the possibly Lane could be getting a little tired at this after pushing so hard, running so hard all day long. We saw little miscues at the top of the hill that might indicate that. Quite possibly. That's not for sure. Like I said, he may be just resting for just a moment and then going to put the push on here But right now, he's running out of time if he wants to make that happen. We're now about 2 hours and 51 and a half minutes into this race. Caleb Russell is due in about 8.5 minutes, so that will put us right at about as close to 3 hours. If Russell checks in on target, that'll be about as close to 3 hours as you're going to get without going over. I honestly believe that. I mean, we've had a couple of races here recently that have been right there in that 3 hour mark, but interesting to see just exactly where it's going to be. And it seems like when the conditions are the most adverse or the most challenging is when we get those longer 3 hour races. We shoot for a 2 hour and 45 minute, 3 hours. We like to be closer to the 2:55 to 3 hour mark. And I got to tip my hat to the track builders and designers, Jeff Russell, and of course his minions, if you will, Jared Bolton and the rest of the crew out there that really helped bring this all together. They've done a great job in preparing this track. Last race they made, obviously because of conditions, a shorter track, which produced a whole different style of race. And here this race, they traditionally go back to the longer laps at John Penton GNCC, and it's given us a whole different style of race yet again. So my tip of the hat, and nailing that 30-minute lap time mark, that's hard to do as a track designer, but I believe Russell's pretty much got that dialed in, Jeff Russell and the folks. Johnny Gallagher joining us back in the studio. Johnny, you've been running back and forth. You look pretty intense out there. What's going on, man?
Yeah, I was just checking in on the progress there. We see Trevor Bollinger on screen continuing to make up ground. Unfortunately, not exactly sure where. Corey Butcher came by and said Chris Bach is down somewhere between the start and the 2. Has not made it to the 2 mile marker yet. So he said he crashed. Hopefully he's all right. It's a pretty big section of track. I started to walk it backwards. But, yeah, still furious battling going on here up within the leaders. So, obviously, a heck of a battle.
All righty, Johnny. And, man, I just can't believe this. 2 hours and 53 minutes. And, again, you know, from what we went, the nail biter that we experienced 2 weeks ago, and this, even though the lap times or the gaps have stretched out, Johnny, this has not been a race without its excitement. I mean, honestly, this has been a race that has kept and held my attention all day long. And you look at the gaps and you think, no, that wouldn't be the kind of race that would do it, but it really has.
Yeah, you know, I think with the conditions the way they are, obviously with the heat, with the slick conditions of the course itself, it's kind of been a slinky effect, I guess you would say, in a lot of the battles here. The couple consistents are we have seen Caleb Russell out front for the majority of this race. But, you know, even at times it looked like there was a few riders. Jordan Ashburn put some pressure on him early. Josh Strang's put in a couple charges to try and close that gap up. Now, obviously, he's got a manageable gap there with 1 minute and 13 seconds lead at the end of lap number 5. And it's looking like he's able to get this one to the finish, barring any major mistakes or miscues. Thad Duvall charging his way up from, you know, he was a big gap back there. Remember on lap number 1 as we were watching, the top 3 were pretty well wheel to wheel, and they had stretched out a huge gap over Duvall and the boys. And actually it was Ricky Russell, I think, who was in 4th, and then Thad Duvall was in 5th.
Yep.
Duvall was able to work his way into 4th and then close that gap up on Ashburn. So he's been charging all day. You know, that XC2 class, you know, Lane Michael been leading it the vast majority of the way. But nonetheless, it sure has been exciting because with the battles that we've seen on screen between, you know, himself and Trevor Bollinger was up there early, then obviously had the brake system. They changed the front wheel. That didn't fix the problem. They changed the complete brake system, and that got him up battling back within. He is up to, I believe, 5th maybe in that XC2 Pro Lights class behind Nick Davis. And there is Bollinger on screen again, number 10 machine. And again, Rodney, we've said it a couple times today, point salvaging mode for that guy today. You know, points leader, knowing, as you put it, he wants to be on the podium. Today, that's looking like maybe not a realistic possibility, but nonetheless, from where he was 16th at the completion of lap number 3, I believe, and clawed his way all the way back and currently running in the 5th place.
Now, that's a true indication of a couple of different things. Not only raw talent, heart, and desire. That's a few things right there that you can bundle up in one. But, man, this kid has heart, man. I mean, he believes that he can win that championship, and he doesn't want to leave anything out there on the racetrack at all. So he's laying it all out on the line today to try to salvage what he can. I can tell you right now, in his heart of hearts and his mind of minds, he knows that he's not going to win. But he also knows that he's going to have some stiff competition the rest of the season, and he needs to maintain that points gap as much as possible in order to keep a comfort zone so he can approach these races with the confidence and the non-pressure that he has been approaching it in up to now.
One thing that I know for sure, this is going to be the hardest. If he ends up in the 5th place spot or 4th or 6th or wherever he ends up, I would have to venture to say that would be the hardest that Trevor Bollinger has ever fought for a 5th place finish in the XC2 class since he started riding that class a number of years ago. And, hats off to him again. They say that Ricky Carmichael used to have a saying, and I'm sure maybe he didn't originate it, but championships are won on your bad days. So having to change your front wheel, having to change your brake system, having to come backwards on the track 2 different times in the pits there on 1 lap, I think that classifies as a bad day. If you can turn that into a 5th place spot, and as he runs currently, he is in 12th place overall.
That's crazy.
And actually, I can tell you on screen, we're showing Bollinger in 12th overall, but I can tell you right now, when he up at the 2-mile marker, he was all over the back of Russell Bobbitt, which he gets a minute, so that would move him up to the 11th place spot overall.
Wow.
So, that to do an 11 overall, or possibly, looks
I think
like
he's going to go top 10 and when it's all said and done.
Well, it's a 3-minute and 38-second gap up to Stu Baylor there, so that would be it's possible, but he would have to put in a heck of a last lap to get to 10:08 there. But if he does, nonetheless, 11th overall, 10th overall, 12th overall, that's a phenomenal charge back from where he was at. And Chris Bach again was on that same; those two together. Bach was then 14th, and I calculated out he needed 9 seconds to get to 11 overall. And that was all it would have taken. Unfortunately, again, not exactly sure what happened there, but Corey Buttrick stopped and said Bach is down. It seemed like he had stopped and checked on him, so I'm assuming he's okay. Nonetheless, that shows when you're pushing it, when you're riding that ragged edge, things happen really quick.
Yeah, they do. They happen very, very quickly.
But the sportsmanship, it shows, for Corey Buttrick out there in his own right, he's out there currently in the 16th place overall, a solid ride, running, I believe that would put him, that puts him solidly maybe 7th in the XC1 Pro class, and to take the time to stop and say, hey, box down, that shows the sportsmanship between these guys out there.
Actually, he's dropped to 9th. He was running in 7th. He's 9th in class now. Sorry about that. But
he'd be 8th after, obviously, with Bach making that pass. But yeah, it's to be in the top 10, and it looked like Baylor was on the charge. Grant Baylor looked like he was trying to track down Buttrick. So his first ride back after the issues he's had, the miss in the last 2 races. So it's these guys are out there you got to build yourself back up, when you're down and when you have missed races and you're having some issues, to build yourself back up slowly is exactly what some of these guys are trying to do. And it's good to see him out there. Jordan Ashburn, again, 4th place. Go ahead.
I was just going to say we're less than a minute now when we expect to see Caleb Russell actually making his way here into the finish line region, and that means that we are moments away, and here he comes now through the auxiliary pro pits. That will be an indication that his lap has slowed down, but again, a rider that can afford to see it happen with a 1 and 13-second gap, and I think Josh slowed his pace down, and as has Thad quite likely, but there is Caleb Russell motoring his way through the pro pits here for the final time at this 2016 version of the Wiseco John Penton GNCC. Goes up on the big loop. That actually used to be a part of the moto track back on the amateur days. Used to go up to the top of that gas line and come back down, but now outside the actual moto fence. But they're utilizing that part of the track here today as part of the GNCC trail. And Caleb Russell on some soils that he has turned wheels on more than one occasion, built sand castles and had mud fights on. Well, he brings himself back home as a young man and a 3-time and defending GNCC champion, and he caps off yet another spectacular day at the family farm and in the GNCC Racing Nation as Caleb Russell motors his way around the Sunday Creek Raceway. He heads for the final turn and the final drive here toward this finish line, where he will capture win number 5 for 2016.
And 5 straight.
And if I'm not mistaken, I believe win number 35, which he is the second winningest rider on 2 wheels now here in GNCC Racing. And Caleb Russell does it. He wins the Wiseco John Penton GNCC.
See his wife Chandler there. She looks like she's worn out. She's been doing some running. Caleb says, "Oh, you're tired? I'm not."
Yes, sir. So Caleb Russell, actually that's win number 35 in the all-time wins list. Second now only to Scott Summers. 2 wins ago, Caleb Russell was tied with Rodney Smith, who is now third with 33 wins. Russell with 35 is now your second winningest rider on 2 wheels. Scott Summers with 46 wins is the next obstacle that he's going to have to face as far as those all-time wins are concerned. And I tell you, the way Caleb Russell's reeling them off, man, a couple of years, that might be a little, might be a lot more feasible than maybe we would have thought a couple of years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it seemed like a huge hill to climb just a few years ago, but racking up wins at the rate that Caleb Russell has been, you got to believe that it's only a matter of time, really, that, I mean, with only having 11 more wins to get to that all-time win leader on the bike side of things, on the 2-wheeled side of things, to Scott Summers. And, you know, if he were able to keep up the winning pace that he is this time next year, maybe at this race,
yep,
you know, we could see him take over the all-time win leader for the bike side of things.
That most certainly would be a cool thing. And just to give you an idea, if you're wondering about the all-time bike wins record, Scott Summers does have 46. Caleb Russell now with 35. Rodney Smith with 33. Eddie Lojak, a 9-time GNCC champion with 26 wins, which you got to say is pretty impressive because the seasons weren't as long back then, didn't have as many rounds of it or whatever. And Fred Andrews with 25 wins is your 5th rider on the all-time wins record.
Rodney, I got to say, oh, and there he is, never mind.
I
saw Thad Duvall working his way through the VP Fuels Pro Row, but now I do see Josh Strang is out on the Sunday Creek motocross track. But Thad Duvall put a big dent in the gap that Josh Strang had. So Thad Duvall charging hard to the checkers. Josh Strang worked hard for this one. Hot day, rough conditions. He went out there, you know, had a points managing day. He's trying to keep that gap as close as he can to Caleb Russell. And you know, he did just that today. You
did, and you mentioned a hot day, but we were just making note that a low-pressure system moving through the area right now. There is a storm cell over Parkersburg, West Virginia. Whether or not that's missed us or coming back toward us, I don't know. But this race is over, and we got a dry race in, Johnny. No rain for this weekend, believe it or not, which is the first time, I think, in quite some time at GNCC racing.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've had a dry weekend of GNCC racing, and it was well needed, you can tell. Josh Strang looks a little bit frustrated there. I saw him looking at the rear of that machine, made some hand gestures to KTM team manager Antti, perhaps maybe having some issues on that last lap. But nonetheless, great ride for Josh Strang there in second place. You can see them checking out that rear wheel. Got to wonder if maybe something, he got in contact with something out there. Everybody's checking it out. Obviously something going on with that rear of that Husqvarna 450.
Wow, that's a good heartbreaker for him, but good that he was able to make the finish there. He'll finish up in second. Again, remember, he's been under the weather, hasn't really felt so well the last few days, but seems to have risen to the occasion today. We heard the jeers and cheers of all the fans down at the finish line just a moment ago when Thad Duvall checked in. He'll be on the podium again this year with a third-place position finish there, so good ride by him. 1 minute and 5 second lead, cut down to 41.9, call it 42 seconds. But a minute and what was it, 30 or so seconds between Josh Strang and Caleb Russell was 2 minutes and 15 seconds. So Josh had some problems, looks like.
Yeah, Rodney, it looks like the we've got some issues with that rear tire is completely disintegrated.
Yeah, it is.
It looks as though they run a foam inflation device called a bib, and it looks like that bib has given out completely.
That's why Stevie
left of it.
Yeah,
he's got a rim that is on the ground, just wrapped in a little bit of rubber. So
that's crazy.
You know, again, but kudos to Josh Strang getting that machine to the finish line for second place points, a second place ride today. And you know, Josh Strang has been a champion before. He's a multi-time race winner. He knows what it takes, and you know, obviously probably maybe felt that thing given away and said, hey, I'm gonna manage it and do what I can today.
I don't know. That tire looked, I mean, other than being flat, the edges on those knobbies and stuff, man, that looked like a sharp tire, man, like he did a tire change in the middle of the race or something going on.
I think the ground's so slick here, you can't really tear up the tire.
That's what I was going to say.
You just spin it, and other than that, but here we see Thad Duvall. You can see, look at him. Look at the crowd of people around Thad Duvall. They local, you know, more or less hometown boy, and that looks like he's ready for some cool water, something to drink. Long hot day, and that just shows you these guys are so fit. They train so hard, and for them to push themselves right to the level of exertion that they have today, you know, near exhaustion. Oh, gets a kiss from his fiancée Maggie there. Notice she wipes the dirt off her mouth when she's done. Says, "All right, I'll kiss you, but I'm wiping my mouth off."
Yeah, wow, what a day. What a day. And another one for the history books, and another great memorable experience, I think, for the racers and race fans alike here. You know, every year it seems like this becomes a more and more storied affair. And I even heard a couple people say that this, to them, is one of those. They say, Bryson Neal said it yesterday during pre-race interviews. He said, you know, something always seems to happen at John. I always felt that way about Steel Creek. But a lot of people are starting to feel that way about John Penton. You know, if I look back on the history of it, they're right. Things do happen here at John Penton. And with this being the halfway point this year at round 7, this is a pretty pinnacle race if you really think about it, because we're on the hinge point right now, and we're getting ready to head into the second half of the season for the championship now.
Yeah, absolutely. Things are heating up, and you can tell this is one of the coolest parts about GNCC racing, and getting to watch it on GNCC Live on RacerTV.com. You see Thad Duvall coming in. He's making hand gestures. He's telling war stories. You can see that red mark on his neck. Sounds like he got a vine across the throat at some point today. And, you know, you don't know if maybe that was at the beginning when he was behind there a ways. This guy right here, no war stories for him. He says, went out, business as usual. Yep, you know, led this one pretty well wire to wire. We did have that little miscue on the first lap where we saw him covered in mud, but this is their team debriefing afterwards, and Auntie's asking him, or actually that's his mechanic Tanner there, so everything good? He says, well, we won, right? Yep, okay, well, yeah, all right, well, let's do that again next race. Okay, sounds good, yeah, okay, now we'll go to the podium.
Wow, that sounded like, that looked like that work matched up perfectly. Right.
Have you seen those bad lip readings? We're going to start bad lip readings, GNCC edition. Look for it on YouTube this week, folks. GNCC Live, RacerTV.com. We're going to, we'll see what we can put together.
That could be a lot of fun, man.
Oh, man, those are awesome, those NFL. But, you know, again, all these guys, all three of them, Josh Strang there, man, those, I got to tell you, those colors on those fly jerseys look really cool, the way those numbers pop off there.
They pop. Yeah, they do. I like that gear a lot. There's Moose Racing, Stevie Van Zylen, as they are in the Moose cool-down zone now, getting that Moose water, if you will. And
oh, I thought that was our XC2 leader, but it was not.
You know, looking at this, Ricky Russell is the only other rider besides Caleb Russell, Josh Strang, and Thad Duvall to check in, and he did it 4 minutes after Thad Duvall.
Oh, he got his way around Jordan Ashburn.
Yes, he did that like a lap or so ago.
I missed that. I was busy running around.
Yeah,
My apologies.
that's all right. I get it. But a minute and 31 seconds is what the gap was back to Jordan at the end of lap 5. But wow, man, I mean, that last half hour really, I guess, you know, I mean, those 2.5 hours, the last 30 minutes, I mean, I'm sure were some grueling times, even with the temperatures cooling off for these riders.
You know, and as I left last time, Rodney, we were talking about Ricky Russell and what a great ride that was for him in 5th place. Well, let's bump that up a spot 4. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I know Ricky had some great rides from that XC2 class where he won, but I don't think he ever did get a top 5 overall. I could be wrong, but I would have to assume 4th overall,
that might
best
be
ride ever.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, Craig DeLong riding a wheelie down the VP Fuels Pro Road, and unless we've missed Lane Michael, Craig DeLong leading his way on his way to his, and we have official word, Craig DeLong is leading, riding wheelies. Super excited about this one. The kid out of, you say it, Mishappen, Misohappen, I don't know what it is, but he's out of Pennsylvania. He's close to home. He's pumped up.
So it looks like Lane Michael is passing the KTM rig right now.
And there is Mike Witkowski right behind, well, not right behind, about 8 seconds behind Michael in 3rd. So this will be another podium for the number 282 of Mike Witkowski. It's been a heck of a recovery ride for him. You know, he had some injuries early in the season. He's been charging back. He's really been trying. But, you know, this guy, I got to tell you.
Let's listen to this. As this rider crosses the finish line in 5th place overall, the number 11 of Craig DeLong, that'll be on time adjustments, but Craig is also finishing up 5th physically on the racetrack right now. So that's equally as maybe even more impressive than the win that he was able to achieve here today.
You know, Craig's taken a lot of beatings over the years, having Andrew as an older brother. He's not easy on him. And seeing these guys, you know, firsthand down in Florida at the training facility, Nick Davis is hard on him. Andrew DeLong's hard on him. Chris Borge is hard on him. Everybody's hard on him, but today it paid off. Here he is, a wheelie to his first ever XC2 win, 5th overall. Craig DeLong, the number 11.
That's 2 great things in one time. It's probably his best overall finish ever.
For sure. Absolutely.
And his best finish in class in the XC2 Pro Lights class. So, man, what a day there for Craig DeLong. Man, this is a very historic day for him. And, you know, you can't take anything away from this Coastal Husqvarna rider of Lane Michael. I know he led up until like the last 30 minutes or so of this race, but man, this kid is one step closer to greatness himself right now, Johnny Gallagher.
Absolutely, and 1-2 for that Coastal Husqvarna team in the XC2 Pro Lights class. Hats off to Barry Hawk, Scott Kiger, that entire team. You know, those guys, you can see Lane looks a little frustrated, but man, there's nothing to be upset about. He took the time to stop and looked like shake the hand of his teammate. Craig's mom, pretty excited there. She's a handful for sure. She's pretty pumped. There you see Mike Witkowski, third place in our XC2 Pro Lights class. Hats off to all three of these guys, man. What a charge for these guys, taking it all the way down to the finish line, battling within sight of each other, even so late in this full, not only 3-hour race, Rodney, but 3 hours, 11 minutes, 33 seconds for these guys in the overall time. And, man, that's a long time to be out there in that heat.
Russell finished, now get this, 3 hours and 56 seconds was Russell's lap, and 11 minutes later we get the XC2 guys coming in. That's pretty wild, but even more wild. I mean, it goes to show you a lot of different things with those guys finishing not only on time adjustment in those positions, but physically in 5th, 6th, and 7th. Right there on the racetrack for DeLong, Michael, and Witkowski. But what a day, man. You know, like I said, you look at the gaps on the lap times and things like that, you'd scratch your head and say, that was a boring GNCC race. But if you sat down with us and watched it from start to finish, you know as well as we do that was a very exciting race. And really enjoyed that one. As we look at the Rocky Mountain ATVMC.com leaderboard, it is Russell Strang, Duvall, Ricky Russell, and Craig DeLong with his first ever XC2 Pro Lights win and his best finish ever. Here is another interesting point to ponder here as Stu Baylor checks in. He's 8th overall. That would put him 5th in the XC1 Pro class. By far his best ride in quite some time also, Johnny Gallagher.
Absolutely. Backing up that podium he had at Georgia, top 5. But look at these AMSOIL Twitter contest winners. Dustin Heslop, at Dustin Heslop, says, XC2 guest, 1 DeLong, 2 Lane Michael, 3 Bollinger. He also says, XC1 guest, 1 KR557, by a bunch. Duvall, and Strange. So not Strang, but Strange. Nonetheless, we know who he's talking about there. So he was pretty close there on both of them. Obviously, he got DeLong with the win, which he might have been one of the few that predicted that. Right. Got Lane Michael in second, and he missed. But here is Trevor Bollinger working his way through now, and looks like he might have possibly passed Nick Davis for that 4th place spot.
In the spirit and the heart of competition of what John Penton himself laid out before us, these men did exactly what he did so many years ago, dug deep, laid it all out there, and gave it all to us for us to enjoy here today. Congratulations to all these riders on a job well done, man. That is a great race today.
He has. Trevor Bollinger has made the pass on Nick Davis for the 4th place spot.
And it looks like we're about ready to go down to the podium as Megawatt Matt Watson stands by with our XC1 Pro top 3 overall. Well, maybe not. I thought he was pointing at me. He was pointing at me like he wanted to do this.
I think he was pointing at Caleb Russell, trying to get him up on the podium there. He wasn't
I thought he was pointing at us. Matt, do you have a wired mic or do you have a wireless mic? You need a wireless mic.
These guys are jockeying for position on the podium here, just like they were jockeying for position all day out there on the course. But again, Trevor Bollinger taking over that 4th place spot. He's working his way into the finish line now, and he did make his way around Nick Davis. Nick Davis close behind, so Rodney, those are valuable championship points. 4th place pays a couple of those bonus points out there.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And wow, it's going to take me a minute to soak this all in.
So Bollinger crosses the line in 4th. That'll put him, I believe, as we refresh our screen here, we'll run down our top overall finishers. Caleb Russell, 1st place. Josh Strang, 2nd. Thad Duvall, 3rd. Ricky Russell, 4th. Craig DeLong, your XC2 Pro Lights winner, is 5th. Lane Michael, XC2 Pro Lights 2nd place, is 6th. Michael Witkowski, 7th. That's 3rd. That's your podium in the XC2 Pro Lights. Stu Baylor with that last lap charge to take over 5th in XC1 and 8th overall. Trevor Bollinger, 9th overall, coming all the way from a front wheel change and a front brake system change. After 6 laps, he works his way into 9th place overall, and it looks like now Russell Bobbitt has rounded out the top 10, and that would put him 6th in the XC2 or XC1 class, which means we've lost Jordan Ashburn, Rodney. He has not made it in.
Man, that's a heartbreaker right there.
And he
for
rode
Jordy.
so well today.
He most certainly did.
Check.
Cash, there you go. We are on spot down there with Megawatt Matt Watson now at the podium as we go down for our Maxxis Victory Lane celebrations. Megawatt. Well, looks like Megawatt don't have the podium speakers on down there, so as soon as he gets those on, he might be able to hear what's going on, and we can throw it back down to him. But look at that crowd that's starting to gather down there right now, and right in front of the Wiseco booth, as a matter of fact. There's the celebrations going on. And, Johnny, these guys are...
All right, let's hear it one more time, Ohio. Put your hands together. Make some noise for our top 3 overall. Caleb Russell, Josh Strang, and Thad Duvall. Come on, Ohio. All right, I'm going to ask one more time, Ohio. Let's make Illinois look quiet. Come on, Ohio. Let me hear it one more time. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. An amazing race today. Thad Duvall over here in 3rd place. Thad, you told me you were spent. You come off the track. You said it was rough out there. I saw you come through there. You look like a man possessed. Wild, crazy eyes through the goggles, man. Tell us how it went down.
It's probably one of the hardest and longest fought days I've had in a long time. The second turn I went down, and I think I was dead last or second to dead last. And it was just, I knew it was going to be a long day with the dust and the mud. And I tried to do my best to get through those guys. But, everybody was riding good the first lap. And then we got to the John Penton section. And off the start, I knew Caleb and Strang were out front, so I'm like, I was just in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, man, them guys are getting away, and they did. And I finally got through the pack and got in the 4th, and I was able to start riding my own race and started making some good lines and stuff. And then next thing I know, I could look up and start seeing Jordan, and I got around him, and I made a run at Strang, and I ran him down a little bit, and then I collided with a lapper real bad, and it was neither of our faults. He apologized. He had my bike running and ready for me when we got up. I think it was just the lines came together, and after that, I just really couldn't get going. I was struggling the last lap, and I'm tired. It was a long day, and like I said, it was one of the hardest fought days I've had in a long time.
Things have been really gelling for you lately. I'm going to credit that to the machine and the team. Probably tell us who you want to say thank you today, man.
Yeah, Rocky Mountain ATV MC, Husqvarna, Amsoil, Maxxis Tire, Moose Gear, CD Boots, Enduro Engineering. All the fans today, they were awesome. I love racing here. My family came out. DQ, I keep them pretty busy on the bike, and my dad pretty busy. My fiance, my mom. Special thanks to the bike doctor today. He got me worked up before we went racing, and it paid off in the end.
No doubt about it. Let's hear it, Ohio. 3rd place today, Thad Duvall. Going to make our way to the other side of the podium here. Josh Strang. Josh, step on up here, man. Everybody can get a good look at you. Josh, wasn't the greatest week leading in. You had a little bit of a flu, had a little bit of an illness, but man, oh man, what an amazing ride today.
Yeah, it was a tough week, but no excuses today. I tried my hardest and I came up a little short, so the track ended up being really good, maybe one of the best Pentons I've been to in the last few years, so made it a bit easier on me, but yeah, it was a fun day.
We know there's never excuses from you, that's for sure. Always 110% effort, but to come through, to fight your way through, a lot of drama, looked like a lot of people on the ground out there, so was it important to be consistent and smooth today?
Yeah, the track was rough, so you always have to be smooth here, and I was just trying to keep up and catch up there, and I think with about 2 to go, I got fairly close, and once I think he realized I was getting close, he picked it up a little, and I just had nothing left, so just rode her into the finish, and the bike worked great. We did changed some things the last couple of weeks, and it was good, so everything worked well.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. Tell us who you want to say thank you to today, man.
Yeah, Rockstar Energy, Husqvarna, Fly Racing, X-Brand, CD, 60, my fiance Cameron, Timmy, Dave, Blue, all the fans coming out. It's good.
Awesome. Congratulations. Millfield, make some noise today for Josh Strang in 2nd place. And over here in the middle of the podium, KR1, Caleb Russell. Caleb, man, oh man, an amazing hole shot. Pulled out a quick lead, pulled out 20 to 30 seconds by maybe 2.5, 3 mile marker. Next thing we know, we see the left side of you a little bit muddy. You told me you slipped off a rock ledge. Man, it was back to square one.
Yeah, I got a good jump, and I was a little leery. My bike wasn't starting too good, like on the way to the line. It was taking a couple revolutions a turn, but fired up pretty good on the start and grabbed the whole shot. And I just tried to sprint and open up a gap, and I just blew a turn, and it was the wrong turn to blow, and I just slid off right into the woods and got tangled up with a bunch of trees. But after that, I got back in the lead and just tried to open up another gap and maintain it. And like Josh said there, he put on a charge, and late in the race there tried to catch me, and I realized it, and I got going again and just tried to keep that gap, and I was able to sustain it. But it was an awesome day. It was a good track. The track conditions were perfect, and but I just got to thank all the fans out there for cheering me on. And it's nice to come back to Grandpa's farm and race in front of everybody. Got a lot of friends and family out here, so it's really cool. And I just got to give it up to the whole FMF KTM crew, my mechanic Tanner, Dunlop, Troy Lee Designs, Bell Helmets, Scott Goggles, my wife, my family, and all you fans. Thank you again.
Awesome. Congratulations on an amazing ride. Grab a hold of that trophy right there. Hold that thing up over your head. Let's make some noise one more time, Millfield, for our top 3 overall. Let's hear it, Sunday Creek. We're going to hand these bottles off. These guys know exactly what to do with these bottles. And I can tell you right now, Thad, hey, Thad, looks like the boss is thirsty right there, definitely. Looks like the boss needs a drink, is all I can say, man. I'm going to stand back, let these guys pop these bottles off, and make some noise one more time, Millfield. Come on.
As we watch the champagne sprays here on our overall and XC1 podium, Caleb Russell with the win, Josh Strang second, Thad Duvall third. We've also got a battle coming in as we re-rack the podium here for our XC2 Pro Lights class. Rodney, looking back through the results here, we've got a battle coming in over this overall amateur positions. It looks like the man out front with a big lead, Tristan Landrum, has really taken this one from the get-go. I see him out on the moto track, I do believe, and he's coming in to put the finishing touches on this one. But interestingly enough, the second, third, and fourth place overall positions for our overall amateur hotly contested, with Zach Clamforth currently running second, but right behind him is the number 3 rider of Alex Teagarden, and only 9 seconds back is Zach Nolan. So as the battles heat up on the track, still coming in, and as we re-rack our XC2 podiums, we can't forget we did have some racing action taking place earlier today in our 10 a.m. race with quite a battle out there for the 10 a.m. and WXC overall podiums and within the class. And I believe we checked in with our overall and WXC winner earlier here today.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to RacerTV.com. We're here with our 10 o'clock overall winner and WXC winner, Casey Martinez. Casey, a great day here at the John Penton, no doubt about it. You come out with the overall win here this morning. Said it was a little slick out there early, but you definitely adapted and come out with a big win here today.
Yeah, man, it feels good to be on top of the box again. I had a couple races a little struggling, but got over it and stayed out the week with Charlie this past week, and it really helped me out. And I can't thank that family enough, Mullins family, and feels good to be on top of the box.
No doubt about it. Out there out front where you're normally being spotted on the bike. Now, we had a little bit of cloud cover today, kept the temperatures down just a bit, really helped over yesterday's conditions, I'd have to imagine.
Yeah, definitely. It feels good right now. The first couple laps I was feeling pretty hot, but once I started sweating, it got pretty used to it, so I'm happy with the day.
Awesome. Congratulations. We'll see you up on the podium in just a minute.
Thank you.
There you have it, and back to you, Rodney. We're going to present Caleb Russell right now with the XC1 Bike Hole Shot Award. We're going to hold that up right there, courtesy of All Balls. Caleb, as we mentioned, All Balls donating $250 for an amazing hole shot. You got out to a quick lead, and how important was that today?
On a track like this, not too important, but it's always nice to have 250 extra bucks. So, it's always nice to get out front early, so you can got the chance to kind of sprint away without having to pass a whole bunch of people. So. It was a great start.
Awesome. Hey, thanks a lot. Go enjoy this win with your family, buddy. Talk to you soon. See you in a couple weeks. Coming up next are XC2 winners. Craig DeLong with the overall, with first place in XC2. Lane Michael takes the whole shot and second place overall. And third place going to Mike Witkowski.
All right, right now we reset the podium here for our XC2 Pro Lights class. I want to say congratulations to our Instagram winner of the Moto Tees event souvenir shirt. Of course, Jesse Bryn is who we have, and Jesse Bryn says 10 seconds, go. Go at Jordan Ashburn 7. That's what she's saying. She was rooting for Jordy Ashburn today, and he had a great day, no doubt about it, but comes up a little short in the end as far as the podium goes. But she comes up with a free event souvenir shirt featuring Hot Rod Charlie Mullins and his commemorative celebration of retirement here at his home track. As we head down to the podium next, where we've got 2 Coastal Husqvarnas on the podium, and congratulations to Craig DeLong for his first ever XC2 Pro Lights class win and his best finish ever with a 5th place overall. Let's head on down to the podium once again, where Megawatt Matt Watson is standing by as we get set to celebrate some more.
You guys up front here, get a picture with Ken Hill. All right, everybody, put your hands together. Make some noise for our XC2 winners here today. First place, Craig DeLong. Second place, Lane Michael. And in third place today, Mike Witkowski getting it done, making his way up on the podium here. Got our class pictures out of the way. Ken Hill got us taken care of. Mike Witkowski, man, up here making it happen today. Had a great ride. Looked like you're pretty fresh when you came off the track. Make any mistakes out there today?
I made a few, but definitely much better race than previous. Definitely a good day and a step in the right direction with everything. So it was good. I did crash on 2-card. DeLong and all them got around me, but it was good. I just had fun staying with those guys, learning the pace, and they rode really good, and just happy to be up here, really.
Mike, you mentioned the pace. The pace looked really fast to me today, man, was it?
Oh, it was extremely fast. I definitely got a little tired in the end, but I'm sure everyone got a little tired, so it was really, really fun, so I'm happy.
Hey, we're going to say thank you to for getting this 282 machine up here on the podium.
Definitely my whole family. My dad working on many hours on my bike. Mom, Dad, my girlfriend Michaela, her family, and Tina out there pointing lines, and definitely RPM, KTM, FMF, Max's Tires, hooking up good out there. FMF, Pro Taper, Motorcycle Superstore, CD Boots, Climb Gear, Fraser Motorsports, C Concepts, and everyone I forgot, thank you so much.
Put your hands together real high for Mike Witkowski, hard fought 3rd place today. On the other end of the podium, Lane Michael. Lane, step on up here, buddy. Tell us a little bit about your day today. Looked like you were charging from start to finish, man. Didn't look like you had an easy moment out there whatsoever today.
No, I got off to a really good start. Actually, I kind of caught myself by surprise, and I looked over and I saw it was Craig, and I'm like, I got to be the first 4-stroke to get the whole shot of the year. So came in a little hot, but it's definitely cool to do that. And then I kind of pumped up a little bit, and then Craig and I think Mike got around me and just kind of followed him. I really didn't ride that well, and then I knew coming out into the grass track and motocross track, I knew I could maybe get around him, and I did. And then I don't know, I just kind of tried to ride solid, smooth laps, but I felt okay, but I never really felt great all day. Just kind of felt a little off, but I had a pretty good lead at one point, but Craig just kept chipping it down little by little, and he caught me there on the 2-lap board lap and rode probably half the lap with me, and he got around me, and I didn't really have nothing for him. He got me probably 10-15 seconds, and that was kind of that. It's kind of a bummer, to lead every lap but the last one, but you have those days, and we'll be back stronger.
We know you'll be back strong. We know you're out here to win, and you got a ton of people, man, that believe in you and support you 100%, man. Who would you like to say thank you to today?
Yeah, first off, got to thank the Coastal Racing Husqvarna team, Bel-Ray, FMF, Pro Taper, Factory Connection, Dunlop Tires, Chirby's, FMF, Scott Goggles, Bell Helmets, MSR, Garnet Boots, and you know what, my dad, all the work he does, Jeff, the whole Coastal crew, my family, my mom,
my mom, my dad, girlfriend, Andy, my buddy, my cousin Zach, and just everyone that came and helped support. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Congratulations, man. We're going to hit you up with a whole shot check here in just a minute. We're going to make our way over to the middle now. Craig, here we are, man, in the middle. Great job, Pops. I know you guys been waiting. Let me tell you something. Amazing ride out there. True Craig DeLong style, man. Up over that bar, charging, man. Wide open. How good does this feel today here at the John Penton?
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
I tell you, I see the emotion in your face, bro. I know exactly where that comes from. I know what this means to you, dude. All the hard work coming to fruition right now. You got this guy right here, got your back 100%. Tell us just a little bit about the race if you can, man.
Got off to a good start, and surprised to see Lane up there, and was fourth going in the woods, and then made a few passes, and I got into the lead, and kind of rode there for most of the lap, and they got me over here in this field section, and Lane gapped us pretty big first or second lap, and then me and Mike rode together a lot of the race, and kept dropping the gap, and then all of a sudden we could see Lane, and then 2-lap car when it came out, I knew it was time to go, so dropped the hammer and made it happen.
Well, I know one thing. You always make it exciting. You never let us down with the effort, man. How satisfying was it to come from behind and, like you said, drop the hammer, man, and make it happen?
It feels great.
I know one thing. You've got a ton of people like Lane that support you, man, that believe in you 100%. It starts with this guy back here. He's always got your back. Tell us who you want to thank today, man.
I can't thank my parents enough. My buddy Jack, the whole Coastal Race team, Barry Scott, FMF, Dunlop, IMS, Garnet, Stuck Graphics, 100% Goggles, Husqvarna, MSR, Factory Connection, Bellray, Chirby's, Rich Lafferty Racing, my brother, the Dirt Bike Doctor for hooking me up before the race, and everybody else, thank you. It means a lot.
Hey, that's the emotion of a winner and a champion right there. You guys make some noise for Craig DeLong today. An amazing, amazing race. And guys entertaining you all day long. We're going to give this bottle to you right now, Craig. You know what to do with that. I think the Dirt Bike Doctor looks thirsty back here, man. He needs a drink, man.
Well, there
One more time, Millfield. Put your hands together for these three guys here. One of the best races you guys are ever going to see.
So congratulations to Craig DeLong for his.
All right, hey, well, we've got Lane Michael up here. We're going to present Lane. We're going to present Lane with the Whole Shot Award. Hey, Lane, you said you wanted to be the four-stroke out there that got it done, man. This guy beside you got a few hole shots this year. But on behalf of Hot Cams, congratulations with the XC2 Bike Hole Shot Award, buddy.
Yep, thanks. It's cool. Like I said, it's a two-stroke dominant class for the start, so it's definitely cool to be the first four-stroke to get one this year.
Awesome. I'm sure we'll see you in that position again. See you guys in a couple weeks. Congratulations to all three of you guys. Thank you guys so much. We got Johnny coming up right now. Johnny Gallagher going to give us our top amateur awards. Guys, stick with us just one moment. We're going to reset the podium.
Well, resetting the podium. Congratulations to Craig DeLong for his first XC2 Pro Lights win and his best finish ever with 5th place overall. You saw the emotion, and honestly, I'm sure a lot more outpouring emotion will be taking place on the ride home tonight as it all sinks into him, as he is a winner here in this class that he has worked so hard to be able to achieve. You know, unlike some of his counterparts there, Lane Michael, Mike Witkowski, those riders made it up through the youth ranks, but of course Craig got doing it a little later in his career, but nonetheless, you know, he's certainly made a name for himself here in GNCC racing. And speaking of youth racing, we had another great barn burner this morning as far as the youth riders were concerned. Hunter Reamer coming out on top of that one.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to RacerTV live at the Wiseco John Penton GNCC. We're here with our first winner of the day, Hunter T. Reamer. Hunter, I want to tell you something. An amazing race out there today. Took the lead early, was able to maintain and manage the pace, used some race strategy there, and at the end of over an hour and 20 minutes of racing, you had a margin of 5 seconds. Tell us a little bit about that race.
Yeah, I got a good start, and I was leading. I led every lap, but on the second to last lap, Ben called me. I don't know where he came from. Got around me, actually. We went back and forth. We wrecked together, but I was able to pass him back and come through with the win.
How many wins does that make this summer?
That's 3 wins, or 4 wins for me in this class.
That's what I thought, 4 wins. An amazing job. Congratulations here today at the John Penton GNCC.
Yeah, thank you.
See you on the podium in just a minute. Back to you guys in the studio.
All right, thanks a lot, Megawatt, and congratulations to Hunter. Here's your John Penton GNCC Top 10 leaderboard, courtesy of our good friends at Rocky Mountain ATVMC.com. Caleb Russell, Josh Strang, Thad Duvall, Ricky Russell, And that is how they finished physically, along with Craig DeLong, physically fifth overall from the XC2 Pro Lights class, with Lane Michael in 6th, Mike Witkowski 7th. Stu Baylor coming across the line in the 8th place position, which actually puts him 5th in the XC1. Trevor Bollinger, an amazing ride for him as he gets 4th in class of the XC2 Pro Lights class after his troubles today, and he gets 9th place overall. Talk about some valuable championship points salvaged. He did that, and how about it for Nick Davis? We saw some great glimpses of greatness out of him, as well as he rounds out the top 10 from the XC2 Pro Lights class, and I believe that puts him in the number 5 position of class. So we had 5 XC1 riders and 5 XC2 Pro Lights riders in our top 10 today, so I think that's pretty interesting. And another interesting thing, of course, is we say congratulations to one of the hometown boys, Tristan Landrum, but I do want to let you know that battle for the 2nd place position in the top amateur, Zach Nolan, Alex Teagarden, just ended a few moments ago with the crowd's cheers. 0.4 seconds what separated them. Zach Nolan will be 2nd in the top amateur as he wins the 250A class, with Alex Teagarden 2nd in that class and 3rd overall. Let's head down to the podium where Johnny Gallagher stands by with our top amateurs.
All right, Millfield, Ohio, let's hear it one time for your overall amateur podium. Your winner, Tristan Landrum. 2nd place, Zach Nolan. And 3rd place, Alex Teagarden. And should we add Nelsonville's own Tristan Landrum, a hometown boy, getting it done here today. We're going to start off. Alex Teagarden, 2nd place in the 250A class. 3rd place overall amateur. You had a little bit of drama before the race today, and you were able to pull it all together and get yourself up here on the box yet again today. How'd it go for you?
Yeah, well, it wouldn't be a normal day if I didn't have drama before a race. So not too many things can go right before a race, it seems. The day started out slow, which is my usual, so that was all right. With how physically demanding it was going to be today, I kind of was okay with that. Took my time at the beginning. I was really trying to get used to a couple new changes we made to the bike, and it proved to take a little too long once again. I like to come back at the end of a race. My training is pretty good, but today wasn't enough. So the day went rough, but man, I had an awesome battle with Zach Nolan at the end of the race, and him and I have been racing each other since we were super young. So to get to bang bars with him and everything again, man, it was a great day. It was fun.
Well, I got to tell you, Alex, you guys were 9 seconds apart for that 250A win, and for the 2nd and 3rd place, actually, Zach Clamforth was 2nd overall amateur going into the last lap. You guys pushing each other, pushed yourself up past him. 2nd and 3rd overall. 9 seconds separating you at the white flag. Zach was able to reel you in. You guys were battling. We saw the pass happen on the moto track. We saw you passing back momentarily. It sure was exciting. You guys were all over each other. Even a little contact made at the end. But I think the coolest part about that was after the contact was made, you guys both looked at each other, high-fived, and obviously that's good, clean racing, aggressive. But I know you didn't do it by yourself. I'm sure there's a lot of people that got you up here today, and we'll give you a chance to thank them.
Yeah, thanks. Waynesburg Yamaha, FMF, Stuck MX, Factory Connection, any of the people that help me every week. Dad, he does so much for me. He's working on my bikes and getting everything together. Kevin Gano did some crazy work on this bike this week and put in tons of hours to get some good stuff for me to get good starts. So Bonsai Engines, big shout out to them. Thanks to Mouse Pratt. He lets me ride at his house every week. Thanks to the boys that are out there riding with me every day, so I don't have to ride by myself. They make some things that should be more like work more fun because they're there. So thanks to those guys, and thanks to anybody I forgot. Steve Hash Racing, thank you.
All right, folks. Again, 3rd place overall amateur, 2nd place in 250A, Alex Teagarden. Let's hear it one more time for him. We come down here to Zach Nolan, your 250A winner, 2nd place overall amateur. Zach, you're making this a regular thing being up here. I know you're fairly close to home. We can tell you got a cheering section here. And, man, you guys made that exciting at the end. I know I couldn't believe there was, I'm pretty sure that there's some blue on this thing and there's some orange on that thing because you guys were that close and you were rubbing each other. Tell us a little bit about how the day went for you.
Well, it started off pretty rough right off the get-go. I've been worrying about a motor noise that I think my bike has, but I guess it doesn't. And that was in my head all day. Bike didn't start. I wasn't dead last in the woods, but I had a real rough start. It probably wasn't a mile in. Me and 2 other guys got tangled up. My bike was on top of his, and he flipped it over. I got going again, come around a turn, and just wiped out. I was just starting off horrible. And I kind of got a pace set, and me and Vendetti were running together there for a while. And me and him we were doing great, and then I wrecked again, pitted. Teagarden got me, and it's all the wind I had to just run right. I had to run back down and try to keep with him, waiting for a mistake, trying to pick smart lines.
Well, you know, I said it there with Alex a moment ago. 9 seconds separating you guys coming to the white flag. So obviously, out here on the moto track, you could see him. When you got in the woods, were you guys together all lap, or did that gap stay about the same, or how'd that last lap go for you guys?
No, I seen him. I didn't get to ride with him in the woods until about the last half a lap. He was running. I mean, he was running strong. The only place I could get a glimpse of him was out on the motocross track. He was doing a heck of a job.
Well, we saw, again, the paint trading, the elbows flying. You guys kept it clean. You both stayed upright, brought it to the finish. You're up here, second place overall, winner of 250A. Again, I know you got a lot of people to help you make it happen. Who are they?
I want to thank my mom, dad, brother, girlfriend. Of course, all my friends that come, make it happen, help me out, cheer me on, you know, push me, whatever. I'd like to thank Bill Daly at Outlaw Motorsports. I want to thank Teely Energy Racing, all the little ones and all the adult riders. Keep my head up and keep us all going. I'd like to thank... Did I say Bill Daly at Outlaw already? And yeah, I'll thank him again. And Todd Ely at Teely Energy, Spider Graphics. I'd like to thank Factory Connections for all their patience, helping me getting the bike dialed in, and anybody else that I forgot.
All right, folks, I got one more question for you. What's this on your handlebars here? Is that something you can say? Is that clean? Is it G-rated?
Push hard, ride smart.
There we go. PHRS right across the bars. He pushed hard. He rode smart. It paid off for him today with a 250A win and second overall amateur. But I got to say, folks, the man of the day, the man of the hour, you know, this guy's not showing a whole lot of emotion. He just won his first, if I'm not incorrect, that is your first ever overall amateur, is it not, Tristan?
Yep, it's the first one.
And is this your first time on the podium as well for the overall amateur?
Yep, first time ever.
So we got a guy up here. He's from Nelsonville, Ohio, just a few miles from here. He comes out here. He puts in not only his first ever overall podium, his first ever overall win, and he does it by upwards of 5 minutes. You were absolutely on rails out there today, Tristan. You looked amazing all day long, winning the 4-stroke A lights class, getting the overall amateur. Tell us a little bit about it. What clicked for you today? What was the difference? How did it all happen?
I got off to a pretty crappy start, and then I just put my head down, and my first lap wasn't really good. I just kept being stupid and taking bad lines, and then just kept pushing hard and ended up getting up with Dustin up front, and then something happened to him, and then they kept giving me the pit board that keep pushing for overall. And then on the last lap, I got a pit board that said overall amateur 1 minute, so I thought it was close, and then I got stuck, and then when I got stuck, I thought I was done, and then I come around and they said that I won it.
Yeah, well, not only did you win it, you did it by a big margin. Obviously, you know, you've raced here before. This is kind of, I would assume, a hometown track for you. The only thing closer might be fast tracks over there. So I'm sure you got some laps around this place. It paid off here for you today. An outstanding ride. I mean, this has to be a breakthrough ride for you. How are you feeling right now?
Definitely feeling it. Definitely feeling the 3 hours. But other than that, it's awesome to get this. It's always been a goal, and I finally met it.
Well, a goal met today. Here we are on RacerTV. The folks at home are watching you. Can you muster a smile for them? There we go. A little bit of emotion out of this guy. Now, I know you didn't make it happen all by yourself. I know there's a lot of people. I see a lot of logos on this bike. I see a lot of local fans out here that are cheering you on. We're going to give you a chance to thank them all.
I got to give a big thanks to my dad for always getting me to the races, and Amanda, my grandpa, for never always being on my butt to work hard, and my mom, so everybody else that came out, Bonsai Engines, Morgantown Power Sports, Recluse, Sunstar, Evans Coolant, CV4, Sycra, Tie Loop, Thornhill Auto Group, P3, Micah, DT1, Diamond Decals, Fly, Rocky Ridge Trucks, Kenda, Seat Concepts, Scott, and Kyle Cheney, too, for making me work hard throughout the week, getting me stronger so I can handle this bike for 3 hours. Thanks a lot.
Well, folks, whatever he's doing at home, whatever the team's doing for him, man, did it pay off today. Here it is, folks, your overall amateur podium. Alex Teagarden in third, Zach Nolan in second, and hometown boy, Nelsonville's own, Tristan Landrum, your overall winner today. Folks, one more time, let's hear it for him. They earned it. There we go. And, Rodney, back to you in the booth.
All righty, thanks a lot, Johnny Gallagher, and as well to Matt Watson. We say thanks to you as we wrap things up here from the off-road mecca of southeastern Ohio and the Weisco John Penton GNCC in beautiful Millfield, Ohio. A special thanks to all the staff and crew here at RacerTV, and a tip of the hat, boys. You did an excellent job yet again. Thanks as well to our executive producer, Kerry Russell, Price Harden, our producer and technical director, Dan Reinhardt, technical engineer, Jacob Beck, and camera operators, Derek Garcia, Jamie Snyder, Jordan McFadden, Josh Seletsky, and Trevor Russell. On behalf of Matt Watson and Johnny Gallagher, I'm Rodney Tomlin. Have a great day, everybody.